All right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is Wizard and Glass Book Club number 38. We're chugging along here. I'm trying to remember where we're at in terms of, is it August, the first month that we're going into the next book? We're chugging along.
We finish in July, Wolves of Kala in August.
Yeah, because we have 2 episodes in that month because
Right.
it's a 3-episode month. So
Good old July.
yes. What's that?
Good old July.
No, August.
Oh, August.
Yeah. So that's just serendipitous how that all fell out. But yeah, welcome. We are here to, of course, dive back on into Wizard and Glass. So let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower came.
We are Ka-Tet, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. We are in the 38th book club of Wizard and Glass. I almost said round table. I don't know why, but almost bamboozled myself there. But yes, we are here in the 38th book club. We have now well dusted the previous high book clubs here.
Yeah.
We
left that in the dust months ago.
wasn't it like high 20s or something?
I think it was like 26 if I remember right last time I looked.
Yeah, it was. So we have now well lapped it. Although spoiler alert, there will be some that will beat this one, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and jump on into the intro. There is no spoiler warning for this episode. This is a book club, so we stay where we're at or before. At the very end, we may have a spoiler section, but we will give you ample warning before we get into that, and that's usually less than 1% of the episode. So if you can listen to this entire episode, then when you get the warning, if you're not all the way through the 7 primary books of the Dark Tower series, you can always turn the episode off at that point. Then if you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasting. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, or any podcasting service of your choice. If, of course, you could subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. And then over here at YouTube, we are here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. We go live every other week, every fortnight, as it were. And you can also go back and watch years worth of old videos. We have short video content, including stuff like catching up on our March Insanity, all that kind of stuff. All kinds of fun shenanigans. And, of course, on the YouTube side, if you could like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, we'd appreciate that. Then if you want to find the show notes, those are over at darktowerpalaver.com. That's the hub for all things Dark Tower Palaver. There's of course no show notes for a book club, but you always have that to find all the links if you need them. Then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. We just we're talking about it. Our next hangout is next month, and we are watching Silver Bullets. So
Indeed. Only my second time watching it. The first time was with you during high school.
Yeah.
So it's basically going to be like a new movie. I remember exactly one scene from it.
Yeah. And the great thing is I just heard some rumblings that we might be getting a remake of The Howling too. So the werewolves are coming back in force.
I'm okay. I'm going to be sick that month.
What with werewolf coming in Christmas?
I'm sorry that I'm going to be out of town that month. It's a shame.
Tis the season, sir.
Yeah.
Werewolves and Christmas. What goes better together than that? Then
Drawing of the Three was 22 parts.
What was 3 though? Book 3 would have been longer.
Oh shit! That's why it took so long to get down there. Damn it! Drawing of the Three was 22.
Yeah, because that is a shorter book. But I want to say we were in like the high 20s. I think, or we were maybe sniffing 30ish. But yeah,
I say? I think I might have said Drawing of the Three, but it was actually Wastelands. It was Wastelands.
Oh, it was 20. Really?
No, Wastelands 25.
25. Okay, yeah, so we are well
25.
well
yeah,
beyond.
Drawing the Three was 22. Wastelands was 25. That's not that big of a gap between those two. I
No.
thought it was bigger than that.
Yeah, but they get bigger here for a while. Then, of course, we will have one book that gets a little bit
We're
shorter.
gonna get through like Song of Susanna in like one episode. By the way, that's Tad and I'm Peter.
With the rate we're going, there's no chance in hell.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably do Little Sister of the Lorien take, half a year.
4 episodes.
Yeah, half a year. So, I mean, that is only 6 episodes, but still.
People who've never listened to our show are going to be so confused.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because I am Tad.
And I'm Peter.
Yeah. I mean, if you're on the YouTube side, of course, you see our little name badges there. But, yes, for the audio listeners, of course,
Yes.
that is true.
We got to remember.
Yeah, it could always be someone's first episode. You never know.
It could be.
mean,
And if it is your first episode, I want an email.
now, the first episode on the 38th Book Club.
Yep.
The fourth
Yep.
book, it's not unheard of, but okay. And then if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Like I said, I want an email. Email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. So it's SHOW@darktowerpalaver.com. And then our threads and Instagram is Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. We have our Blue Sky account. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we're still on the Twitter for some reason. Twitter X? Is it still?
It's Twitter.
It's still Twitter?
It'll be Twitter forever.
Tad's not letting me call it X. I'm not allowed
No.
to.
Throat punches will be doled out.
At Dark Tower Palaver Pod. That's at Dark Tower POD. And then Facebook.com/Dark Tower Palaver. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/Dark Tower Palaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is Terrible sticker t-shirt. I got my t-shirt on.
I still got to get me a new shirt. My mine is getting a little threadbare, so it's time for a new one here. It's been years, so
We do still need to talk to good old Hayden about this one. I have a note here under the TeePublic thing in my notes. Says shirt idea DTP. I'm here for the tangents. So
yeah, it's true. I think I got this off of TeePublic though. My
End World Crimson King with the Eye of the Crimson King logo for our audio listeners.
Yeah, indeed.
Kind of looks like a sports, like a.
I think that's
The idea is that it's a sports.
If it isn't, it's certainly been confused. There's been times I've worn this in the wild, and people are like, "Oh yeah, Roll Tide." I'm like,
because it does look like the Alabama Crimson Tide college football.
yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say college football. They have other sports, but it is college football.
No, they don't.
Hey, their basketball team made it to the.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't. All right. Did you get all?
That's
yours?
all mine.
Okay. And then let's go ahead and jump on over then. So we have finished up the flashback story for Roland. Last episode entirely in? No. We jumped. Last episode was Charyu Tree, and then we jumped into Nebraska again, because the last episode kind of went over the cusp because it wouldn't have filled the episode. So last time we did get Charyu Tree. We got the end of the story for the most part. There's still some things even in this episode that we're going to cover some hanging threads a little bit.
Charyu Tree 2 episodes ago?
No, it was March. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And then we crossed over for the first 3 subchapters of this last part.
Yep.
So we are now with our Ka-Tet as they were kind of recuperating last episode from the story.
Yeah.
It had only been one night, and then we are kind of getting reoriented with the fact that there is something in the road up ahead. So that is where, and of course, we're going to get reminded in this episode as well. We had some stand crossover early in the book, and we'll get some reminders of that. So Heil Cody, as well as Baraki a little bit earlier. I think Baraki jumped on us before we even started here.
He did.
Yeah, but it's all good. I mean, we have been a little bit jumping early on some episodes and stuff, so it makes sense. So let's jump on in then. We are on part 4, which is All God's Children Got Shoes. And we are in chapter 1, which is titled Kansas in the Morning. And we are currently in subchapter 4. So let's go ahead and I'll start us off here. Let me get my thing a little bit bigger here. I don't know if it's because I'm over 40 now, but I like to have big text when I'm going over this here. So subchapter 4, for a time that morning, the thinny's warble was so loud that not even the bullets in their ears stopped it entirely. At the worst point, Susanna felt like the bridge of her nose would disintegrate, and she would. And when she looked at Jake, he was weeping, but not the way that people did when they were sad, but when their sinuses were going to hell. She could not help but think about the saw player in Central Park. Sounds Hawaiian, doesn't it? The thinny came up to both edges of the embankment, seeming to watch them like hungry zoo animals might look at plump children. That's a fun. That's a fun thought there, King. Susanna thought of the thinny in Eyebolt Canyon, reaching out and grabbing those who did not, or who didn't amble into it freely like zombies. Just when she thought she couldn't stand it any longer, it began to pull back from the interstate again, and the warble started to fade. Susanna took the bullets out of her ears with wobbly hands. Eddie said that that was a bad one, and she looked back at him and saw his cheeks wet, and she saw his cheeks wet and reassured her it was his sinuses. Jake asked Roland for some aspirin because Jake has a headache. So now I don't remember year, whatever, however many years ago now it was that we started this book. Did they do anything for Oi, or is he just living with this warbling?
I think he just lives with it.
Because I always think of animals of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I hear about those people that are like hunters and shit, and they deafen their dogs with their guns and shit. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just always like empathetic towards animals. I'm like, do we ever address the fact that Oi's just dealing with this?
Yeah, I don't think that they've ever brought that up. I don't think that he would allow bullets to be put into his ears, though. I know exactly what you're talking about when you think about animals. I had a smoke alarm go off the other day in my apartment, and both my cats, man, right under the bed. And I'm like, it's loud for us. It's probably like excruciatingly painful for them. Like, good Lord. Can you imagine a sound that loud for us?
Yeah, and I don't know like where cats' hearing is compared to ours, but like dogs, and I would say Billy Bumblers are definitely closer related to dogs that we've seen, certainly. So it's like the hearing on, it's just something I thought about as we were going here. Did I miss anything in the chat here?
That is Jack from the UK joining us.
Oh, hi, Jack.
Yeah.
I don't know why YouTube is screwing up everyone's names.
I don't know. And then Agamorphy just popped in as well.
Awesome. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
So my notes here, we didn't really see the young gunslingers use bullets in their ears, did we? I kept waiting for it to show up in the flashbacks because I remembered it from the opening, but like nowhere in the story did it talk about Cuthbert, Lan, and Roland using bullets in their ears near the thinny. They always just dealt with it.
No, yeah.
So it's like it's just weird.
They did a bandana, didn't they? Like they did a bandana, and we were trying to figure out like how they wore the bandana over their ears.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so if you wear it across, you can't do that. So we're thinking like they went over the top of their head and under their chin, like kind of like how we have the headphones, like up over and then around the chin, and you tied it like almost like a bonnet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
but it's just interesting because like Roland seemed to like go to that as though it was like not past knowledge, and who knows, maybe there were some other thinnies somewhere. But then we ended up not really getting a payoff for that in the flashback, so it's kind of interesting.
I my note here, I wouldn't be surprised if Roland and his friends didn't know the bullet trick as kids, but then they tell their story when they get back to Gilead, and some old gunslinger's like, oh, well, next time try bullets in your ears. It works great. It's like, you motherfucker, why didn't you guys teach us that?
Yeah.
Like those little tips and tricks, right? Those are the things that you find out. You've been at a job for 6 years, and then they're like, you're doing it one way, and they're like, oh, you know you can do this, right? And you're like, God damn it.
Like Bull Randleman in Band of Brothers when they were putting the bayonets on. Won't shoot straight with that.
Won't shoot straight with that. Don't put it that way. Your knee will hit the gun and the butt will hit your chin and break your jaw. And it's like that kind of shit. Like it just seems like an old gunslinger tip that older Roland figured out.
Yeah,
that he didn't know as a kid. Maybe even Court didn't know this.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That's a good catch that they didn't do it earlier.
Because even when I read this the first time, as the first time read ever, I remember kind of waiting for that, like, it's just one of those setup and payoff type things. It's like, oh, Roland knew, and he also knew immediately that it wouldn't work with the like the America bullets, and it would only work with like mid-world ones.
Yeah.
And there, none of us doubted him, of course. So even the first time reading, I just expected them to like have that discovery. So I expected like the drilling of the ears of the thinny to be like driving the boys crazy somewhere during the story. And then, probably Cuthbert's the one that discovers it because it seems like something he would do to just jam, bullets in his ears.
I can't stand this. God.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, I think, you know what? Honestly, I think I may have just figured out why they don't have their guns. They're not riding around mages with guns. They don't have guns. They don't have bullets on them.
But they went armed a few times to the thinny, though.
No, they wouldn't go to the thinny. They wouldn't ride around. The only time they rode armed is when they went to Rhea's house to threaten her, because that's when Roland shoots Ermont.
But it could have even been when they were there to set up the ambush and stuff. I mean, there's times they were there when they were armed. So.
I don't think that they went out armed, because if someone came across them, because remember, you still have to come all the way back to the ranch and everything like that. If they go out armed and someone sees them with guns, they're going to know that they're not the boys that, the boys who are in trouble and put out of the way. They're not going to come with guns.
Yeah, well,
only gunslingers come with guns.
But they may not have to wear them out in the open. They could easily just have them under their saddlebags.
But that's how Jonas finds their guns back at the ranch and everything like that, is because they don't take them out.
Yeah, but I think
So-
there would have been I don't know. I think there could have been a few times they had him out there, especially when they're going out to Thinny in the middle of the night or something. To
Unless King said otherwise, I wouldn't. The way that King wrote it, with it being like, do not take those out ever, kind of thing.
yeah. And then can you imagine a sound so grating that it loosens your sinuses and makes your eyes water? That's got to be dreadful.
I can't even begin to imagine something that bad, because like the worst sounds that we ever experience, as humans, we can stand them for such little time that we instantly clap our ears over our, like nails on a chalkboard is one of the most common one.
A lot of fire alarms.
My wife hates the utensils that Ace Ventura torture, the silverware on plates and stuff like that.
Noted.
That is one of the worst things. And I'm right there with her. Like, that is not a good sound.
It's good to know.
But imagine something but times 1,000, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that I've ever experienced like that.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, no, never mind. I won't say that.
Let's see. So yeah, and then the image of the image of looking at them like hungry zoo animals is a fun one, especially after what we saw with the one in Roland's story. Because that's the other thing too, is I feel like that one was way more like malicious. Like this one has never felt that like dangerous, I guess. Like nowhere.
It's never reached out to them. It's never gone for their
psychic
minds, or anything like that. But it's there. It's obviously hungry, and the fact that that's the way they feel it's looking at them.
Yeah.
That's very sinister.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, this is like a freeway. And I don't know if they have this all around the world. I know we got Jack from the UK, so maybe he can tell us. Here in America, when you get out into the country like this, they tend to build the freeways up so that water, and then they have the road angled just a little bit. It's not a lot, so you don't feel it when you're driving in the car, but they have it angled so that the water rolls off the road. So they're up, and there's ditches on either side, and it's right up to the road. There is nowhere to go. They're walking right down the middle of the road because the thinny is just like right there.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being that close to something that's looking at me that way with nothing in between. I've had animals at the zoo look at me like, oh, that boy looked juicy.
Yeah.
I've had lions and tigers and bears, oh my, look at me that way. But not having anything in between me and that?
Yeah. I mean, that must be how Jake feels with Oi right there.
You stop that. You stop that.
Oi just looks up at him and his mouth starts watering. It's like, boy. Go ahead and munch that boy, because Oi is a vicious little savage beast.
You stop it. Jack says the only thing I can think of is when Bart lines up all the megaphones and says testing.
Yeah,
if you ever make a Simpsons reference, Tad's gonna love it. Season 8 and before Simpsons.
No,
reference.
I'm up to like 12 or so.
12
It's
or
pretty.
so.
That's
12.
about when I got my first job,
Yeah.
and after that, it's kind of when I started to lose track, just because like I worked on Sunday nights, so how could I watch new Simpsons episodes?
Yeah, having that streaming option on Disney Plus where you just turn on and it's just a random episode. So
at some point, though, I actually want to go through and just watch systematically all the way through. Like
that's a lot of TV, dude.
It is. But I got to do it at some point. So
Cody says, I imagine the sinuses similar to eating wasabi. I will never ever eat wasabi. I've seen way too many horror videos of that. Not a chance.
Yeah, and me, I was funny. I have that hot sauce.
Yeah.
It uses the 2 hottest peppers, but it actually has a really good flavor.
That's the one you had me try, right?
I think so.
I have the video of that. It popped up on my my time hop just a few days ago when you had me try it.
Yeah, so I eat. I think I'm on my 3rd gallon now. I buy it by the gallon. Yes, and I just have like little squeeze bottles I bought off Amazon, and I have like a full bottle at work, a full bottle at home, and then eat burritos, whatever else. But I was watching a true crime documentary about this family that was like torturing their youngest kid for some reason, the brother, the mom, like whatever, and like they were starving this kid, and the only thing they fed him was like bread with that hot sauce. And I'm like sitting there eating. I'm actually eating that hot sauce, and I'm like look down. I'm like, that's weird. a little bit dark, but it was very.
I mean, if you can't handle
Unusual.
it, obviously, but you burned your mouth so badly over the years with all the different hot sauces that that's the only way you taste anything.
It is a glorious thing. So, let's see. And then Jack said I was coming back from Disney, Florida 2 weeks ago and was able to watch the new Running Man and Life of Chuck. Not ideal watching conditions, but still glad King got a King double feature. That's awesome. And that's a couple great movies for sure. I enjoyed both. I mean, Life of Chuck, like that one more and more is becoming like up in the top echelon of all King films for me. I've been just thinking about it randomly where I'm just like, I need to watch it again. I think I watched it 6 or so times, but it's like, it just randomly certain points of it come up and I'm just come to my brain where I'm just like, I need to watch it again. Like, I genuinely think that like as time goes, like it's like an instant classic, and I think that long term it's going to be in the same realm as like Shawshank and you know some of the absolute top tier King.
I wonder if it'll
so.
have that resurgence too, because Shawshank didn't do well in the box office.
Yeah,
Green Mile I think did.
Green Mile was
fairly well, but not like
Green Mile was the highest grossing when the Dark Tower got released.
Yeah.
Because remember we went and looked into that to see like, you know, how hard would it be for Dark Tower, you know, potentially. And little we know, you know, it would come out and redefine everything the same year.
Yeah, a couple months later, yeah.
But like it was actually pretty dismal how low most of the King box office returns were. So but yeah, Running Man I enjoyed as well. But yeah,
a lot of fun.
Life of Chuck though is absolutely one of my favorite King movies of all time, probably.
Now, Jack, you just gotta go watch The Long Walk.
Yeah, Long Walk's actually really good too. So.
Jack also says, I think most roads here have an adverse chamber, but they're not raised up. So a little bit different.
Yeah. All right, so Jake asked Roland if he ever saw Clay Reynolds again after taking the aspirin. Roland said no, but he knew what happened to him. He and some deserters from Farson's army went on to rob banks. More the direction of Inworld, because thieves and robbers no longer had much fear of gunslingers. Eddie guessed that they were busy with Farson. Roland confirmed and said that Reynolds and his band were trapped by a small town sheriff who turned the main street of a town called Oakley into a killing zone. Most of the gang was killed outright and the rest were hanged, and Reynolds was one of the ones that swung. This was less than a year after Reap. He mentioned that one of those shot dead was Coral Thorin, who had become Reynolds' woman and rode and died with them. So
I forgot to type out my note here.
Of the hanging threads that I mentioned to start the episode, this is one of them. So we got some. It also is very interesting to me. I don't remember I put a note for it. I don't think I did. That like Coral ended up just kind of hooking up with Reynolds.
Oh, that's my. I have a note here about that.
Okay, it's just kind of interesting. Yeah. Also, I can never help but like read this, and it kind of reminds me of Ike Clanton at the end of Tombstone when he's killed in a failed bank robbery, and it's just like a postscript to the movie. You don't actually see it, and like you
get that a lot with like true crime documentaries too, because they always end and then it's like, well, you got to tell me like what happened.
Yeah,
like I just finished a true crime documentary on Wednesday, and literally it's like mistrial, and it's like, well, what the fuck, you can't leave me like that. And then they just did like a thing on the screen. It's like it went to trial again and they were found acquitted.
You know, my favorite is they tried to revive Unsolved Mysteries for streaming.
I heard about that,
and all the true crime people lost their fucking minds because I guess they missed the title was Unsolved Mysteries. So the fact that they were all there's no end to them.
There's no ending to them.
Like that actually pissed a bunch of people off, and it went pretty viral with people just like throwing fits at like, dude, what the fuck? Like you can't tell me
this is the stupidest thing ever. It's like it's literally in the title. It's in the title. It's in the title, guys.
At the same time, though, I don't blame them. Like back in the 90s, it was one thing.
They've also been spoiled for the last 30 years
with a lot of true crime.
With a lot of true crime, and it's all basically solved.
Yeah,
there is some that leave it open ended, and it's like, was it this?
You see, they just found the DNA for Jack the Ripper. They've absolutely confirmed who it was.
I saw that. Last fall, I was at the auto repair shop because that's when I hit the deer and everything like that. I was at the auto body place waiting for them to finish everything up and get my car back. And I saw something saying that they confirmed it. And I'm like, so I Googled it and it's like, it's shady and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'll wait until they actually like,
they wouldn't have exhumed a body or something, and they were able to get some DNA and basically trace back to like through current family members of who it would have been. So
that's fucking nuts. Man.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
That's at least 2 serial killers I know about that have been caught by ancestry stuff.
Yeah, well, there's a lot actually. So yeah, and
No,
the
like
killers and
specifically
stuff.
like the 23andMe shit.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. No, this wasn't that. This was just.
It wasn't.
This was that they kind of.
Yeah, so it's different. The thing I heard about was different. That was
some,
what I heard.
No, they had some suspicions of who they thought. Like there was a a handful of people.
There's a bunch of suspects,
and like they basically got some DNA from an exhumed something or other, and they were able to go and like retroactively look through all the different people and stuff. So, yeah. And then my note here: thank you for following up on Reynolds, Jake. I appreciate tying up some loose ends. It happened under a year after our story as well, which is kind of interesting that it didn't take that long. Which kind of makes sense. Well, actually, it doesn't make sense to me in a way. So does Reynolds just never go back to Farson? Like, and I guess what I don't understand is, did Jonas hide from them? Like, because we remember Jonas was like, if this gets fucked on my watch, I'm never going back. But do you think he would have communicated that playing big bad tough guy? I just wonder if he would have guarded like that information from them more for his own like pride. So it's like I wondered, would Reynolds even know like you should not go back to fucking Farson? Like that'll be the death of you. You're gonna get fucking skinned alive.
I mean, obviously he's dumb, but he's not stupid, right? Like with how bad things went in Magus.
Yeah,
I think he's smart enough to realize if I go back, like make that that Mario game over noise.
Yeah.
I think he's dumb, but he's not that stupid.
Yeah. So they started to go to Inworld because they no longer feared gunslingers. That would help Farson's case. If people feel abandoned or unsupported by the power structure, and then someone offers them the illusion of security or protection, they're going to take it.
It's happened throughout human history.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, even like the Mafia was big with that.
The big one for me with that one was Germany before World War II. They were going around Europe being like, you guys can't be protected. You can't. We got to protect you, so you got to come back to us, and all that land that was taken from them, all of a sudden it's all being given back.
And the Mafia, like it's like the cops aren't going to help these immigrant communities. So the Mafia is like,
care about you.
Yeah, we will though. And it's like just pay us, a percent of your business, and we'll protect you type thing. So it's definitely something. Did you say you had a note you didn't?
I have a note that I didn't. I'm going to do it after your next note. I meant to do two notes back to back there.
Okay. So my next note, I love the sheriff ambushed them. Makes sense since neither the coffin hunters held a candle to Jonas. And now Reynolds was the one in charge, likely in charge of the entire group that had abandoned Farson. Because, he may have been kind of a nitwit, but like he would be the smartest nitwit of the group, most likely.
Yeah.
The fact of whatever rub off he got from Jonas would have probably put him high up in, if it wasn't Coral. I wonder if even Coral's using him as a puppet.
Right.
Like maybe she was actually
she's the power behind the throne.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna listen to a woman, so she's kind of using him as like I'm just
or maybe it's the power couple kind of thing.
Could be
because it says that they're together, which I would have never thought that would have happened.
No,
no,
but so it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to outfox this group. Although to give him credit, he was hanged, so he did survive the ambush. Reynolds,
true.
But does that say good of him or bad of him though?
I think more bad because he realizes it's an ambush, and I see him like trying to slink away, but gets caught.
Yeah, that's
what I picture.
Yeah, like exactly.
There's nothing in the text about that, but that's just
not at all. And yeah, I just feel like there's like almost something cowardly with the fact that
yeah,
exactly, 100%. He doesn't go down in the actual gunfight, so. I'm glad we're both aligned on the inserting stuff into the text a little bit, but
we're reading between the lines just a little bit.
It seems like it fits Reynolds.
I think it fits. So the note that I forgot to take down is I did some research into. Actually, I thought it was a lot further back in the book, but it's not. It's right in the last part that we covered. Roland tells the Ka-Tet that destroying the tankers and taking the glass ball didn't do much. It only delayed the fall of Gilead. Do you remember by how much?
It was months.
20 months is what he says. I found it fascinating here.
Yeah, that was last week that we covered that, I think.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I thought it was a lot further back. I found it interesting here that it says right here in your section, this was less than a year after Reap. So we're talking, let's call it 10 months. Okay?
Yeah.
Susan, Tree, 10 months later, Reynolds hung, Coral dead in the shootout.
Yeah.
So in 10 months, that's where they went from. And what you notated here, that it was a gang of other Farson, like cast-offs or deserters or whatever.
Yeah, and I wonder, is it all the survivors of that, and none of them wanted to go back after that failure?
It could be.
So it just that literally that band kind of went together where they're just like, well, we can't go back.
Roland
so.
says it after the battle when they're going up towards the thinny. They didn't get all of them, and then we need to get the hell out of here.
And they're going to be all smart enough to know. I mean, I know that we haven't really seen it in the text. I mean, there was a little bit from Jonas, but like the comic books, made it clear that
Latigo made it also very clear that
it was all very between the lines of like
this is big.
Yeah, no, and you don't want to mess up with him because like, but in the comics they literally show him like skinning people alive and stuff. So it's like they go a little bit more overt in the comics to show you like to fill in the blanks of what the book leaves.
There's a part where Jonas mentions how bad Farson is.
Yeah,
and that's where I wanted to make that was the second part of my note I forgot to write down, is that I wonder if Reynolds and DePape were ever directly aware of like how high up they were working, because I feel like they were kind of just like subcontractors.
Yeah,
and everything. So
yeah.
Jonas brought I wanted to say Reynolds. Jonas brought them into it, having rode with them and everything like that. But I just don't think that they were aware necessarily that like do we know that Jonas met Farson? I don't think he ever met Farson, right?
No, I think we always got the impression it was like Latigo that he was
right. So I don't think that
with.
It goes like all the way. Like Jonas even doesn't go all the way up. So I think of them as like contractors, kind of.
Oh
thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Like third party hires.
Yeah,
and so
but well regarded ones if they were trusted with the ball.
Right. They were supposed to, but they were only supposed to bring the ball from Rhea to Latigo. They weren't even supposed to bring it to Farson.
Well, they brought it to Rhea to begin. I'm just saying that they were given the ball. And so, like, I guarantee you that it isn't just up to Latigo to say, like, oh, I'm just going to hand this off to any. No, I'm pretty sure Farson knew who had it, at least, even if he's not the one directly talking to them. But it's like he knows, right? Kind of like a mobster. Like, they may have the buffers between them to, like, protect themselves. But it's like if they've got some fucking, duffel bag full of cash and they know which of their fucking soldiers has it, like, that boss knows which guy it is type thing. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is I would assume that even if they don't ever deal with Farson directly, Farson knows full well who they are.
Yeah, they may be dealing with the Dawn's lieutenants, but they know who the Dawn is and everything like that. They know of him and they know what he's capable of, and they do not want to end up inside of a carpet dumped in Springfield Lake, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And we will take our lawn clippings elsewhere.
Yeah. Chief, I thought that was a body. I thought so too, until he said yard clippings. You got to learn to listen, Lou.
Lou, yeah, that's it. So my other note here, speaking of other coffin hunters, I find it fascinating that Coral settled for Reynolds. She didn't hold either of them, Reynolds or DePape, in very high regard. She doesn't have high opinions of them.
Yeah.
So why would and then also, why would she leave Magus? Wasn't she like set up really nicely after everything that happened? The mayor's gone, Reimer's gone. She owns half the town. Like, why would she leave?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of makes you wonder.
We
right?
kind of talked about it last episode, I believe, where we were talking about like, do you think Magus survives long after this, or is this kind of like that, that stone into a glass house that kind of like, over the course of a short period of time is like, does Magus just kind of fall apart? And is she going to be smart enough to understand that and know that it's like kind of the end of the line? Like whatever,
it very well could be.
Whatever good setup she may have had may not actually be all that good after what went down there.
What's interesting is that there's a line that came up when I was looking for that how long before the fall of Gilead. There was a line that came up because I looked up fall, and there was something about that they talked about it for years to come in Magus. So obviously King alludes to that Magus survives.
Even the big coffin hunters or the Showdown of the Traveler's Rest says that too.
Yeah,
where it says
it lasted. Yeah, decades later, people all of a sudden the 80 people that were there has transformed into 1,000 or something like that.
Does Coral leave because like she's worried if Farson's gaze comes to Magus?
That would be very possible considering everything that went wrong there for him. He very well could send someone to go mop that up.
Yeah, is there a chance he just out of spite goes, you know what, I'm sending a small detachment to go and wipe this out? Mm-hmm. And so she's looking at it from self-preservation where it's like, if something goes wrong, I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, I think that when Roland and Cuthbert and Elan survive and they get away with the glass ball, when her and Reynolds put their heads together and go, okay, so what went wrong here? Like, how bad was it? Like, I talked with Jonas, but like, what do you know? And he says, well, this is what I know. And she goes, well, this is what I know. Both of them compare notes and go, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
we're not going back, and we got to get the fuck out of here.
Just in case, because and from everything we see, that we don't know that Farce never sends anything back. But there's a chance that if he does, though, I think Coral's smart enough and cunning enough to get the fuck out of Dodge. So, and then my last note here: Coral is dead. That is good to hear. Reynolds, like, I mean, I guess, but like, I don't know. He always felt like small potatoes to me. But Coral, I mean, despite treating Sheemie good, she's pretty terrible. So,
absolutely. I'm so glad that she's dead.
yeah, indeed. So thank you, Jake, for asking. They went on in silence for a time. The thinny warbled in the distance. Jake ran up to a camper that had a note under the wiper blade, and he was just able to reach the note on his tippy toes. He read it and frowned. Eddie asked what it said. Jake handed it to him and read it and handed it to Susanna, who gave it to Roland. Roland said he could only make out a few words. Old woman, dark man. He asked what else it said and told them to read it to him. Jake took it and read, quote, "The old woman from the dreams is in Nebraska. Her name is Abigail." He paused. Then down here it says the dark man is in the west, maybe Vegas. So again, we've already...
And that was a direct quote from the book.
That's a direct quote, yeah. We've already had references to this a year or two, whatever the hell it was ago that we started this book.
Right when they landed in Nebraska, they found a newspaper saying super flu.
Because they all kind of gave Eddie a bunch of shit that he would have been alive to see it. So it's like...
this was like a year before Eddie came over, or 2 years before, something like that.
Well, Eddie's 87, and this is not... actually... Wait, what? I'm trying to think. Now that I think about it, when was this book written again? This was written in Wizard and Glass 97. So yeah, this is before the rematch. Or no, it was after the. So I guess King's kind of flubbing the. Well, it doesn't matter because it could be a different world, but like
no,
because the stand.
We think it is a different world because Takuro Spirit and Nozzle.
Yeah, but then again, we don't ever not see Takuro Spirits or Nozzle in the stand. But all I'm saying though,
but they do say Coca-Cola.
All I'm saying is that we have 1990 is when the stand now canonically takes place,
right?
And that would have been after Eddie's time. So for them giving Eddie shit, they're a little bit up in the night here, unless they alluded to in the newspaper.
Oh no! It is after Eddie's time, because he's just like shocked that like a couple years after he's taken, the world just ends.
Yeah, but
if it is his.
Yeah, but Susanna and Jake both kind of give him the side eye, where it's like, how the fuck did you not know about this type thing? So that's where I'm like, why were they asking him? Unless we'd have to maybe go back and reference like maybe the newspaper, maybe King wrote and I guess that would actually ultimately break this from the stand if the newspaper was actually pre-87, which would have been in Eddie's time period, then that would 100% prove that this is 100% a different world without having to not, I guess it's hard to say you don't see a Takuro Spirit in the stand because you can't prove that way, I guess. But either way.
I'm trying to look into it a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be a matter of like, the newspaper, maybe if you have your Kindle, maybe search like Captain Trips.
I don't have Kindle on.
Oh, okay.
On this computer.
That's fair. When you get to your point, your chapter, I can look it up too. So Jake looked up the gunslinger. Looked up at the gunslinger, puzzled and uneasy. Roland looked at the palace in front of them. It was not the west, but the east. Roland said the dark man was in the west. The dark tower is always in the west. Susanna pointed out Nebraska was west of here as well, which is interesting because we're in Topeka, right? So Topeka is at the far edge of Nebraska. I'm trying to remember the geography there. I remember Omaha's on the far side because I had to drive to that.
Wait, Nebraska?
Yeah, because we're in Topeka right now, and so it's weird for Susanna to say that that's west of them. Because I guess she would have to know their geography pretty well.
Lincoln?
Topeka?
Topeka is in the far east of Kansas.
Okay.
I'm
sorry, never mind. We're in Kansas. That's right. Topeka, not Nebraska. I'm mixing it up here. So, right. Roland said that he thought he thought this was part of another story. Eddie then said a story close to this one though, maybe next door, enough to swap sugar for salt. Roland said he was probably right, and they had business with the old woman, or they may have business with the old woman or the dark man yet. But today their business was east, and he told them to come on, and they began to walk. And that's the end of the subchapter. So more references to the stand and the idea that mayhap we may be running into these characters is pretty exciting for me when I read this the first time.
Oh yeah, I was the same way.
I mean,
I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, it was early in the beginning of the book that we had the first references to Captain Trips and everything else that we were basically in, in Topeka, but obviously as a big Stan fan, I have to imagine like in 11/22/63
Right.
when we end up in Derry, I have to imagine that was a pretty exciting moment for you.
Oh,
as well.
I freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good stuff. Yeah.
Go find that section in the Kindle with the newspaper. I'm really curious about that date.
All right. Yeah. Go.
All right,
yeah,
subchapter 5.
see if your boy's getting maligned,
Yeah.
wrongly.
Exactly. He better not be. I mean, he's the best of all of us. So. The fans voted, Tad.
Let's see.
What about Sheemie? Jack asked after a while. So we're in subchapter 5 now. Roland laughed partly because this question surprised him and partly because the remembrance pleased him. Roland says that Sheemie followed them. It couldn't have been easy. It must have been damn scary in places. There were wheels and wheels of wild country between Magus and Gilead, and plenty of wild folks, too. Worse than folk as well. But Ka was with him, and he showed up in time for the year's end fair with his damn mule, Cappy, Jake said. Appy, Oik repeated, padding alongside Jake. Roland goes on saying that when he and his friends went in search of the tower, Sheemie was with them. A sort of squire, I suppose you'd say. Roland trailed off, biting his lip, and wouldn't say more.
Let's see. I found the chapter here. Let me. Yeah, all right. So, my notes here. Damn, that must have been a scary journey for Sheemie. And with the sorrow of what happened in Magus still fresh in his mind, that's got to be tough. And then also, Sheemie's a good person to have with them as they set out for the Dark Tower as well. Kind of a squire. Like I can't think of a better person to have along with you than Sheemie. He's proven to be quite useful.
He is very useful and also incredibly awesome. Let's just be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
At least Sheemie didn't get burned at the stake. But I don't like how Roland trails off here. He just
Yeah.
Roland, you better tell me that he lived, motherfucker. Like, not another one, right?
Yeah. Okay. I just finally found it actually now. Yeah.
Okay.
She looked up at Eddie's eyes accusing. She handed him the newspaper with one brown finger tapping the date on the top. June 24th, 1986. So this is 100% a different world than The Stand.
It has to be.
This is 4 years earlier.
Yeah.
So.
Never caught that. Never thought about that.
Even if this book had come out previous to 1990, which
That's
it
not
didn't.
the right year.
It would have been 77, I think, in the original. It was like late 70s in the original Stand. So like this is, no matter which which version of the Stand you're looking at, this is 100% a different world. I've never caught on to that before. But yeah, that does not fit. And yeah, that puts it a year before Eddie's time, before Eddie's pulled, because Eddie's pulled in 87. So
original publication, The Stand takes place in 1980. 80 to 81.
Oh, okay. But it was originally came out in the late 70s.
1980 paperback shifted the timeline to 1985 to 1986.
But so
Complete and uncut edition in 1990 updated the narrative to 1990, 1991.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. Today I learned The Stand has been in 3 different years.
But at this point, again, canonically though, it's going to be the uncut.
90s.
Yeah. So it's
90s,
like,
yeah.
So either way, yeah. And again, the Takuro Spirit's probably a good indicator because
the baseball team, the Takuro Spirit, Nozzle, all that stuff.
There's too much different probably, but
yeah.
But now we have a absolutely different date. So yeah,
I've never caught that before.
Yeah, neither.
We
have
didn't
I.
catch it earlier.
No.
When we did that section.
No, it's true. It's true. Well,
maybe we did. I don't know. Maybe we did, and we're just forgetting that we caught it.
That's true. We are very old.
We are very old.
Oh, good stuff.
So going on, Susanna asked about Cordelia the crazy aunt. Roland tells her that she died before the bonfire burned down to embers, and it could have been a heart or brainstorm, what Eddie calls a stroke. Perhaps it was shame, Susanna said, or what for what she had done, or maybe it may have been, Roland said. Waking to the truth when it's too late is a terrible thing. I know that very well. And I just have to say here, sorry, Susanna, I can't believe that Cordelia would ever feel shame.
Yeah.
I
also,
know.
Jack said earlier, I need to see the long walk. And then also said maybe Cordelia, I'm sorry, Coral thought that Gilead might send more gunslingers.
That's
so
also a good
You might
point.
be rocking a hard place there where it's like either Farson sends people or the gunslingers send people.
Which is funny because it specifically calls out that they move in-world towards Gilead because the gunslingers weren't a problem.
Yeah.
So initially she left Magus because she's worried about reprisals because they kind of just burned Roland's pregnant girlfriend at the stake.
Yeah.
and he's a gunslinger, they find out.
Yeah.
So
either you have Farson or the gunslingers. Both
so
might be
initially
coming
they
your
leave,
direction.
but then after they leave, they realize the gunslingers aren't as powerful, so they move that way.
Yeah. Let's see.
My chat is not updating. This is stupid.
No, just refresh maybe.
I think I need to refresh.
Let's see. Oh yeah, so and Jackson, I think that even though they know he left before it happened, they thought there would be signs of social collapse. Eddie says it could have been, but he was too doped up. But yeah, I ultimately and then he does say so. There's been 3 stands on 3 different levels of the tower, and yeah, and that's seemingly. I actually didn't know about the paperback changing, and I knew because it's a pretty big thing in the stand fandom that changing up to the 90s and stuff. And
yeah,
like,
you modernized it when he redid that.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff you change out. You change out movies, you change out presidents, you change out. There's a lot of stuff that got swapped out. So, but yeah, back to the text here. My note agreed. Also, Roland said she didn't wake up, or she didn't, or also, I'm talking to Roland. She didn't wake up to anything. Maybe she just died because her only purpose in life was to make Susan miserable, and I hope her passing was unpleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think Roland is talking about Susan with a line about waking to the truth?
I mean, maybe, but it could be any number of things. He did say he had a lot of stories like this, and this was just going to kind of fill the gap for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like Roland's probably got, 52 decks in his cards in his deck that he could tell you stories of potentially waking up.
Let me
to
tell
that.
you about how Jamie DeCurry died. Here, let me tell you about how this person died. Here, let me tell you about how my dad died.
Yeah, pretty much, and on and on and on. Yeah, exactly. So for Roland, he's got ample.
Hey,
examples.
let's talk about my best friend David the Hawk for a second. Like, ugh.
Yeah, too soon. But so I mean, it could be though, because we did actually see Roland having that moment of realization.
That moment of like, oh God, I didn't wake up.
Yeah,
that I didn't realize.
Yeah, he was being bamboozled.
Yeah,
by
exactly.
the ball.
Damn balls. Never trust a magic ball. That's all I'm saying.
I would love to have a, maybe, I mean.
An all-seeing eye?
No, just like, imagine getting a bowling ball that looks like the pink Wizard's
That would
glass.
be really cool, with little horses inside it.
Oh, indeed.
All right, so going on, Jake says there is something up there pointing down the road where all the cars had been cleared. He asks if they see it. Roland did. With his eyes, he saw everything. It was another 15 minutes before Susan began to pick up the small black specks ahead of the road. She was quite sure she knew what they were, but she thought that was more intuition than vision. 10 minutes later, she was sure they were shoes. 6 pairs of shoes placed neatly in a line across the eastbound lane of Interstate 70. And that's the end of the subchapter.
That's a very sinister feeling thing.
Just shoes.
Just because it's so, like, it's the wrong context.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be 6 neatly, set up pairs of shoes laying in the middle of a fucking interstate after the apocalypse. Like, that's
let's also address another thing that's sinister. If you're walking down the road in any post-apocalyptic world, and all of a sudden all the cars are gone,
there might be a zoo around.
You start needing to check your 6 or.
I mean, with Roland, no.
With Roland, you're good.
You don't have to worry about it. And the rest of them, to be honest, they've all proven their salt at this point.
I know, but
so.
you still start being like, all right, what's going on?
Suddenly the crickets stop.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is like when it's normal and then all of a sudden it's gone. What's going on? Hold on.
Yeah.
So my note here.
Perhaps there's a chimp about.
Exactly. There's a zoo back there. You don't know if the chimp got out. You got to be careful. I hear they're in the middle of a civil war and everything like that. Yeah. They're volatile.
We should take a trip.
No, I am not going anywhere near a chimpanzee civil war. No.
Yeah, Peter's alluding to in the news. There was a thing that there's literally entire groups of chimps that are going at war with each other.
It's not the first time this has happened. Jane Goodall documented one, and the entire scientific community called her crazy, saying like, "There's no way this happens." And they've since documented several wars where they just literally conduct night raids, they patrol, they ambush, they coordinate, they assassinate.
So what you're saying is Planet of the Apes is not that far off.
Dude, no. We're like living it, and we just don't realize it just because it's only happening in one part of the world.
We just don't know it yet.
Eventually it'll happen.
But soon.
So my note here, shoes. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild to spot shoes from so far away.
I mean, you've been to Nebraska. You can see shit forever in
shoes,
Nebraska.
Though, shoes are not that big. Like,
Yeah.
spotting like, a duffel bag or something, of a certain size, but shoes are pretty small.
I mean, you have to realize what kind of shoes they are. We'll get to that here in just a second, but they're not, sneakers, some of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
It's very strange.
I forgot Susanna had the best vision next to Roland. It's the little things like this I am going to keep stumbling over as we move forward because we have spent so much time in Mages, and I haven't done a reread recently of the Dark Tower. So it's just like little things like that. It's like, oh, right, Susanna's the one that's, able to see farther. Jake's got the touch, and then Eddie's a fucking brilliant jokester and everything.
Also, I do think that old Susanna's got a touch of the touch as well.
I mean,
even that right there, intuition.
It says it. It's intuition more than vision.
Yeah, indeed. Cody says they sell crystal balls on eBay. I have a black and a pink one on my watch list.
Ruh-roh.
That sounds fun.
I don't.
That seems fun, right?
Crystal.
All right.
Ball.
So we are now moving over to chapter 2, which is titled "Shoes in the Road."
Good God, those are like actual, like legit fucking fortune teller crystal balls. Oh man, I spelled crystal way wrong.
Ooh, Samsonite, I was way off. So yeah, Shoes in the Road, subchapter 1. So they reached the shoes by mid-morning and beyond. The shoes, the glass palace stood glimmering in its green shade. It had a shining gate with red pinions flowing from towers. The shoes are also red. Susanna thought that there were 6 pairs, but she was incorrect. There were actually 4 pairs and a quartet. The latter was clearly meant for Oi. Roland picked up one of them, and he did not know how many bumblers had ever worn shoes, but guessed none had ever worn silk-lined leather booties. Eddie...
fancy.
Yeah, very, very fancy indeed. Eddie said Gucci, eat your heart out, and they were and said that they were great stuff. Susanna's were clear not just because of the feminine swoop, but because they were made to fit her stumps, which was just above the knee. She looked at them and marveled at the rhinestones. If they had not been diamond chips instead of rhinestones. She then said cappies. She finally had some cappies. Eddie asked if that's what they were called. Jake's were bright red Oxfords, except for the color, they would have fit right into the Piper School. He flipped one of them and saw no brand mark, and he had not expected one. His dad had a dozen pair of fine handmade shoes, so he knew them when he saw them. Eddie's were low boots with Cuban heels, maybe Mage's heels in this world, he thought, and pointed toes. They are what they called. They're what he called street boppers. Susanna would have called them beetle boots, which I think that's when it finally clicked in my head of what we were talking about there, because I kind of know what those iconic Beatles.
Oh, dude, I had to Google it. I'm like, what the fuck does Cuban heels mean?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's just because like I have some Beatles stuff on my my algorithm, but there was one point that I was getting some fucking shoe company shooting ads at me, and it was like the same iconic build that was the Beatles wore or whatever, and it was just like I was like, oh okay, so yeah, that's roughly what it was. Roland's of course were cowboy boots, fancy ones you'd wear to a dance versus droving cattle, loop stitching, side decorations, and narrow arches.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is like the cowboy boots. I mean, Cuban heels. They're gonna be up off the ground, maybe even taller than a duffel bag.
I mean,
like cowboy boots, Tad. Cowboy boots are pretty big.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty tall. I mean,
it's still wild to spot things like that. Not for Roland, I suppose.
I mean, let's be perfectly honest. These guys are gunslingers, so.
Yeah, no, it's true. But so Green Palace and red shoes definitely feels like something most of us have seen before.
Where have I heard that before?
And each of them are very specific, not just in terms of gender, but fit, but even style. Poor Jake can't avoid Oxfords even in Midworld.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him there. I'm like,
doesn't Susanna also have something with Oxford Town or something like that? Is what it's. That rings a bell for me.
I don't know. I just know Oxford.
Isn't that where she is? Oxford, Mississippi. Isn't that where she's jailed?
Could be. Yeah, I think that sounds right. But Oxfords are a very specific style of like a little bit dressier shoes, like not dressy, but dressier.
Well, he says they would fit perfectly in it.
No, yeah, and I kind of feel bad for him because it's like everybody else is getting these like boots and something that's actually going to maybe work well in this environment, and Jake, poor kid, can't get away from prep school nonsense. So definitely no question that these are going to fit them all exactly right.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, there's just, of course they're going to fit. This is clearly designed for them specifically. So
tailor-made, right?
Yeah. Cody says Oxford Town. Yeah. Oxford Town. So yeah, no, that's definitely you're right. That is what it was.
Yeah.
And Jack says, I like to think there's levels of the tower that Random Flag keeps a personal shoe cobbler. The walking dude must go through a lot of leather. And yeah, it does. In that first chapter 23 in the stand, it does talk about his boots being quite worn down. So yeah, maybe he does have a car person in the stand. So maybe he does have a cobbler.
That's true.
I love the word cobbler too. It's a fun word.
Cobbler.
It's just a silly sounding word. I don't know why. It just is. Cobbler.
Also, it drives me nuts that there's cobbler the profession and cobbler the best dessert of all time.
It's pretty high up there.
I fucking love a good cobbler, dude.
Cobblers are delicious.
Cobbler.
Roland shared Kef with them, and he felt something strong between them, and he could not understand because it was part of their world. They had come from different wens, but something is common to all three. He asked what it was. What do they mean? Susanna said she's not sure any of them knew for sure. Jake said no, it's another goddamn riddle. And Roland told them to tell him what they did know. Quote, I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes, Odetta said. That's the prevalent opinion anyway, and that's a direct quote from the book there. Eddie said, we got him anyway, Eddie said we got him anyway, and they were thinking and they were all thinking what he was thinking. Susanna agreed, and Jake did not answer, but with words, but picked his up and clapped them together 3 times, which meant nothing to Roland, but the other 2 reacted violently, looking around, including up in the sky, as if expecting a storm out of this bright autumn sunshine, and their eyes all rested on the glass palace again. Then to each other. Roland felt like shaking them all until their teeth rattled, but he waited. Sometimes that's all a man could do. Mm-hmm. So yes, I can totally understand sometimes you just want to jostle people a little bit. So not sure I agree with Jake. It's not really that much of a riddle. It's red shoes with a green palace in the distance. Kid, it's not that hard to figure out.
I don't think it's that what he's talking about, because he does pick them up and clips them together, so he knows what you're saying. What the shoes and palace are referring to is easy to figure out. Why are they referring to that is another riddle, and I think that's what Jake's saying. Why are we hinting at this? Not what, but the fuck's going on here? I think that's the riddle, and he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Because he's done with riddles. He's fucking done with riddles, man. And rightly so. He's had enough shit thrown his way.
Yeah. And then Agamorphy says cobbler equals broken pie.
Cobbler's cooked way better than pie. Cobbler's superior to
also,
pie.
I've never heard of a peach pie. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but I've never, that's not.
Yeah, peach pie with vanilla ice cream, man.
It's
the same as like
peach
you do it with just like you do with apple pie.
Peach cobbler. That's
and a slice of cheese.
That's the go-to. And then let's see. So that was your note then.
Jack says, I've never had peach cobbler. That's what I get for living under the monarchy.
It's only just now that I thought about the fact that it's God Save the King now. It's been God Save the Queen for 80 something years, whatever it was, or not 80 years, but it's pretty much multiple lifetimes of people.
Wait, she just passed away like last year, didn't she?
Not that long ago, yeah. So because
did she come to be queen in like
the 50s?
Oh, was it the 50s?
Yeah, I think it was the 50s. So
I thought it was like the 30s. No, we had a king during World War II. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, no, and she was doing Jeep mechanic stuff during World War II. So.
What a absolute fucking badass. What a legend.
Indeed. Interesting that it is specifically called out this line in the book by Odetta.
Yeah, I caught that too.
We've not seen that name that overtly since book 2. I mean, even when Detta pokes through, it always just says Detta came through. Yeah. It never directly says Detta said. And Odetta definitely not. I feel like Odetta almost doesn't even have a voice since the merger. So it's it's just very, very interesting that and I don't think I ever would have noticed this just on a reread or re-listen, because I'm just, you would have just breezed by that, and my mind would have just filled the blanks of like, oh, Detta's Detta, is Susanna, it's all the same. But like now in this, I'm able to stop and lock onto that and go, why is it Odetta?
Do you think it's because the reason why we haven't seen Odetta is because Susanna is more Odetta than Detta? Like, she has the Detta in her, but she is mostly good.
I think she has the metal of Odetta in her, though.
Absolutely.
I think she is.
No, I'm not saying she doesn't. I'm saying, but mostly Odetta, because Odetta's good, kind, thoughtful. We get an instance here coming up. I think it's my next subchapter, or maybe the subchapter after your next one, where we just get to see like how like she looks out for Jake
Yeah.
and everything. You know what the part?
Even
yeah.
even what we already just covered, like with the thinny, like
Yeah.
she looked over at Jake first before anyone else.
Not
So,
even her husband.
I forgot
yeah.
to mention that, but yeah, that felt very motherly.
She was checking on him,
Yeah,
looking out for him.
Yeah.
And so, like, she didn't want to leave him when it was Lud. Like, Roland wants him to go find the cradle. She's like, "Nah, fuck that."
Yeah.
But I think that I think there's a little bit more Odetta than there is Detta. But it's really interesting here that it specifically calls out Odetta.
Odetta. Yeah, it's just interesting because
it is.
I honestly think that like it just if you were to ask me how often Odetta was like directly alluded to even the rest of the series, I would suspect it was like less than a dozen would be my just knee jerk reaction, and I don't think that's a spoiler to say. I just Detta whereas Detta again we've already seen a few times where she's kind of popped out, but it's always kind of I don't even think, not that I remember King ever really references like Detta said. Like I don't even think he has to though, because a lot of times like
it makes it seem like Susanna's taken over for a moment, like almost like possessed by Detta.
100%.
Not that Detta showed up and Detta spoke.
Yeah.
It's more of like Detta influenced Susanna to be like bitchy kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I will also say again, because I do think that there's a perfect balance of the two, because like even like when Susanna calls out Roland on the bullshit in early book 3, like that's very Detta, right? I don't think she was like getting like honky, like whatever, like Detta, but like that, like steel and metal, where she's just like, she's like, you're treating me like shit, like you're being unfair, like
I know
like,
what you did, motherfucker.
Yeah, Odetta never would have. Never in her life. Never, ever.
No,
so it's like,
absolutely not.
I do think Susanna's a perfect merger. So it is kind of interesting that Detta pops out, but Odetta never. But I almost wonder if part of it might just be that Odetta is so polite
and timid
that she would have just stayed.
Yeah,
she would have
hidden.
stayed inside the hole.
Yeah.
But here we actually see her popping out, which is kind of interesting. Whereas Detta, of course, is very rude and abrasive, so she's just going to pop her ass out whenever the fuck she wants. So
right.
It is interesting.
I think you definitely get a hint of Detta when she's dealing with the what is it, the pubes or the grays? I always forget which one it is. The ones that her and Eddie have to shoot.
Yeah, Winston.
It was Winston's birthday. Yeah, motherfucker, just coming at me with a goddamn sword, and she gets all upset. I think that you see like the shift where she's like very like bang bang bang, and then there's like the real remorse afterwards.
Yeah,
dude, that's Odetta coming through right there.
Yeah,
she doesn't say shit.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. And again, just kind of going back to it, I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. Odetta said that is
such a homely little thing for Odetta to be saying. Right?
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. So yeah, interesting choice. Looking for storms or flying houses down from the sky, perhaps, or maybe for flying monkeys. There's a lot of trauma with that movie.
My nightmare.
Yeah, there's like the flying monkeys. I've seen trauma from people, and we'll talk about it later because they even talk about it, the characters and stuff. But I feel like there's a lot in that movie.
Is that why Hayden doesn't like midgets? Little people? Is it Wizard of Oz?
I don't know. Because the other one I remember having a few friends like in grade school and shit they were terrified of is the trees.
Oh yeah, those trees were terrifying.
Yeah, those trees.
Yeah. I think it's also I gotta call out older generations, man. They did not give a shit what they exposed kids to. They're like, yeah, it's a rated G movie. It's fine. It's like, did you watch it first? Because there's monkeys ripping one of the main characters apart, like limb from limb. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm trying to think. I mean, the witch, of course, scared. But yeah, I feel like there's like multiple things I've heard over my life of kids that were traumatized by different parts of that. But it's almost like a freaking what do you call the ink blot thing, where it's just like
what do you see here?
Yeah, there's like multiple kids that are scared of multiple different aspects of that story, and it's just I don't know. It's just interesting.
A lot of people, myself included, man, Oz scared the shit out of me, even though it was revealed to be just a guy.
Yeah,
dude, that Oz the Great oh my god, like And then I saw Power Rangers, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, no.
Hold on a second. I've seen this before. Is there a guy behind the curtain?
Yeah, pretty much. That I remember thinking the same thing.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Zordon?
Zordon, that's his name. I wanted to say Zoltan, but I'm like, wait, that's a fucking crow.
He's a good bird, that Zoltan.
Just because he's a crow.
Yes. I love crows. Crows are the best bird ever. So Eddie told Roland that after he killed Jonas, he went into the ball. Roland agreed, and Eddie said he traveled in it. Roland said yes, and he didn't want to talk about it, and it was not relevant to this, and Eddie disagreed. He said he flew in the pink storm, a pink gale mayhap, if you were making up a riddle. Jake said, when does Dorothy fly over the wizard's rainbow? When she's a gale. Susanna said they were not in Kansas anymore, and it may look like it, but Kansas was never this thin. And Susanna, I think that's a very incorrect thing to say. Kansas is pretty damn thin.
Very thin. Very thin.
No offense to anyone in Kansas, but I think you all know.
It's very thin.
Roland said he did not understand. Quote, there were thinnies everywhere now, he had told them. Worlds melting into one another as the forces of the tower weakened. As the day when the rose would be plowed under drew nearer. So the direct quote from the book there. Eddie said he saw things as he flew before the dark land he called Thunderclap. He saw things like Sheb, the piano player, who turned up later in his life. Roland agreed, in Tull. And the redhead, Roland agreed, was Zoltan. Speaking of good old Zoltan. And he said he saw Susanna's old wheelchair as well. Roland pointed that out, the old one. Eddie said that, and the witch. Roland agreed, and Jake quotes the witch from The Wizard of Oz, and it reminded Roland unnervingly of Rhea. So that gives us a fill-in that if we had any doubts that Rhea sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West, there's your gap that to fill that gap to know 100% that she just sounds like old what's her name from Wizard of Oz. I actually don't know the actors' names except for what's her name? Actually, is blanked on Dorothy's name, Gail, right? Or Judy Garland.
God damn it, Ted! You infected me right there.
That's the only one that I know. But then again, it is a movie from the was it 1938, 1939? It's an old ass movie.
1939.
Yeah. So Roland,
Margaret Hamilton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually do vaguely know her name because there's that famous clip of her on Mr. Rogers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where it's like trying to teach children like not to be afraid and stuff, and so she shows like the costume and like tries to like kind of bridge the gap of like don't be scared type thing.
I'm not. That's how they get you into their house and into their oven.
Yes.
That's tricky.
It's true, tricksy.
I didn't know that Mr. Rogers abided by witches.
Yeah. God, there's another one too. I don't remember if it was her. There was some other one that ended up like they went on a children's show, maybe like Sesame Street or something, and they ended up banning the episode because it was so terrifying to children. Like there was something, I don't remember if it was her, and she did the Wicked Witch thing, and it was on something because it wasn't the Mr. Rogers thing, but there was someone else, and I don't know why I'm thinking it was her, and they ended up banning the episode because it was so terrifying.
The most
to
famous
children.
banned Sesame Street episode is episode 847 from 1976, featuring the Wicked Witch of the West, which was pulled after terrifying children and sparking parent complaints. Wow.
So she did a wholesome one with Mr. Rogers, then she went and just scared the shit out of the Muppets. So Roland stared at him, trying not to gape. Jake said that he was it was in the movie and she was not riding a broom but a bike. Eddie said yeah, and not reap charms, and that he used to have nightmares about the way that she laughed. Susanna said the flying monkeys gave her the creeps, and it made her sleep with her parents a few times. Jake spoke to the other New Yorkers and said that he was not worried about clicking the heels together because he wasn't wearing them. Susanna agreed, but said that her dad used to say never whistle for the wind unless you wanted it to blow. Roland asked them to explain this to him, and that's the end of the subchapters.
Yeah.
So, it's again, I do kind of feel bad for Roland here because they all just feel like they're just talking past him. They're just not filling him in, and it's like, okay, at some point, maybe loop in the smartest guy in your party here with what's going on.
Yeah,
because
no shit.
It's it might behoove y'all to make sure he's in on all the nonsense here. So yeah, recontextualizing the flying ball as those scenes from Oz does make a lot of sense. You know, now when I reread anytime, like whenever I think of that going into the glass, like I just picture literally that scene from Wizard of Oz now. So yeah. And then this is the point too where I was going to bring up like all the different people over my life that I've had that were scared of different things. I also remember one kid that was terrified of the melting, even though it was like the witch being defeated, but that terrified the fuck out of him.
Yeah. That's a terrible way to go, right? It looks so painful.
Yeah.
All the people flying around as Roland sees what happens in Mage is exactly like Dorothy and Oz. Like that's what they're talking about. It's like that is to a T. He's there, and these people are flying around him.
Yeah,
like 100%. Like holy shit! Like I remember reading this and then thinking back to how Roland described it, and then like you said, your next time through, that's all I can picture.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Did I miss anything in the chat here?
Gen X has seen things no child should, is what Agamorphy said.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the horse's name in Neverending Story?
Artax.
Artax?
Yeah, Swamp of Sadness, man.
I saw something saying it was a really funny reel. It's a guy like standing like from the child's perspective. It says, "Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about." And then it cuts to him showing the kid that scene. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Emotional trauma over physical trauma.
Yeah, emotional damage. Yeah, pretty much.
Emotional damage.
Pretty much, indeed. Yeah. So, also, I do know at least one person that I know of that actually had their birth of the fear of tornadoes from that movie too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like they were like terrified of tornadoes. I remember who it was. It was actually within the last year or so. I was talking to someone because I was mentioning like the new Twister movie.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that I've never seen the original. I'm like, what? You gotta watch? I'm like, no, I'm like deathly afraid of tornadoes. And I'm like, would you come from the Midwest? Like, no, just Wizard of Oz. And I'm like,
he's like, there's a reason I live in Utah. It's like, we had a tornado once. He's just
yeah,
gone.
just vanished. So good reminder that the Rose and in turn the tower are still in danger. Might have been lost. I mean, we may have as readers lost sight of this over the chunk of things that have happened since the last time we really talked about the Rose. So it's kind of interesting for King to just slide that in there with that line, right? That the Rose is still in danger to be plowed over and stuff. So
yeah,
good to remind us that like, oh yeah, like that is still something on the board that we have to be worrying about here. So Jake creeps Roland out with the witch impression. That's definitely cool because, again,
I mean, if you had heard someone that sounded exactly like that impression, like I'm imagining Jake doing a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And that person is one of the direct reasons why Susan went self-barbecue. Yeah, I'd be creeped out too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Plus, kids are just creepy in general anyway. So we all know that.
This is a fact.
Am I missing? I feel like the chat's been.
It's popping off.
Yeah. I wonder if there's anyone out there that's never seen Wizard of Oz and were as puzzled as Roland. My
daughter won't watch it.
Is there a chance though that because I feel like
the younger generation nowadays?
But I feel like there's even an element though where like you're gonna know the references. Like,
it's the same thing with like Star Wars. You brought this up before, either on this show or on Geekery Abides. Even if a kid's never seen Star Wars, they know the line.
Yeah, 100%.
They know it. It's just it's part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
right?
Anyone that that I see online that's like complaining that they went to like all these lengths to hide that from their children their whole lives, and they watch it for them at 7 or 8, and the kid just rolls their shoulders. I knew that, and they're all bummed out. Like I just want to drink their tears because I'm like, dude, you're an idiot if you think that shit's not just.
Everyone knows this.
Everyone, yeah, it's been spoofed a million times. Like it's just so ingrained, and I feel like a lot of the Wizard of Oz stuff is so ingrained too that it's just.
It is.
It's like even if you haven't seen it, I have to imagine some of this feels familiar.
I will say that it is starting to slip on some movies because I made the reference the other day at work, and we have a guy working in there who's 19, I think he is. I made the reference the other day at work. I said we're going to need a bigger boat, and then I went da dun, da dun, and he's like, "What's that from?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, what's that from?" I'm like, "Dude, Jaws." And he's like, "Oh, I've never seen it. What is it?" I'm like, wait. What? Like, I understand never seeing it, but what is it? You've never heard of Jaws. You've never, in your 19 years on this planet, never heard the words da-dun, da-dun, or a shark, or we're going to need a bigger boat, or none of that. And he's like, no, man, like, I don't watch a lot of movies. And I'm just like,
yeah,
we're losing it a little bit, Tad.
I mean, I will say though, I know it's a little while ago now. It's almost 10 years ago. But when I was in Mexico the first time, I was walking by like a pool that allowed children because it was like divided into two halves.
Yeah. You got the adult only.
Yeah, and I only went to the other side if I was going to a restaurant.
Because it's Tad.
And I saw some little children that maybe 5-ish, like kindergarten or younger.
Yeah.
And one of them, like an adult, hummed the Jaws theme, and like a bunch of kids jumped out saying, shark. And I'm like, there's no fucking way those kids have seen that movie.
No.
It's like, that's just so ingrained though that
right.
like that just means sharks. So, yeah.
Agamorphy says you're getting old, guys.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I teach a class at work, and I was teaching a class to a group, and I'm like, yeah, back when I took this class in 2019, and one of my people in my class is like, I was in 8th grade when you took this class.
Good Lord. Oh.
In 2019, that's not even that long ago.
That's not that long ago. I mean, it was 7 years ago, Tad.
No, because 2020 through like 2023 is only like 6 months. So, Let's see. And then I love that.
Cody said, I made a passing comment about Skynet a few weeks ago to my 14-year-old. We are now on Terminator 5 because I had a parental duty.
Now,
So I'm guessing, Cody, you're saying that the kid didn't understand the reference, and then you started watching Terminator.
that's great because that's yes. All children must know that, especially now in the age we live in.
We're getting close.
All must be taught.
We're getting close.
Skynet, indeed.
What
There
is
is
it?
actually a real Skynet too. Do you know that?
What is it, the 29th?
August
I mean, it's
29th,
2029?
1997.
No, like there's the pushed back one, isn't there? Where they go back.
Oh, I don't know. Terminator 2 is August 29th, 1997.
Yeah.
So, but that's great though. Yeah. Yeah. All children should have the joy of at least Terminator 2. But yes. So I love the aspect of Oz freaking kids out. It seems fairly universal for our generation. There's the added fact of how old it is, and I feel like some parts of the whole movie are just so much more surreal to us in like the 90s and shit. Because like 1939, like it's a lifetime ago. I mean, it's more than a lifetime ago for us. Like that's like 5 lifetimes ago. And so there's just like a surreal nature to that whole movie.
Mhm.
So even things that aren't necessarily supposed to be sinister, like just feel weird.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm sure kids nowadays, it's even more so that it's like we're now approaching 100 years of that movie being out. So
Next decade. I mean, we're 13 away from it being 100 years old.
yeah. So there's
That's crazy. My daughter's 13.
yeah.
My daughter's life right now is how long we have to go again for Wizard of Oz to be 100 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm telling my wife when I get home.
It's not my fault.
No, that one's all me. There's a thing here where we're talking about like Wizard of Oz, and King kind of took Wizard of Oz and Roland in the tornado and stuff like that. All I want to say is that I do not want to see King's version of the flying monkeys.
I mean,
Mm-mm.
why not? Could be fun.
Mm-mm.
Maybe that's what's in that men's room.
Oh God.
The one on
No,
like Conan O'Brien, where he just said he could
yeah.
never figure it out. What if it's flying monkeys, like King version of flying monkeys,
Mm-mm.
ripping people's faces off and
Mm-mm.
flying around and just
I'm good.
yeah.
That's-
You know what
that-
they need to do is they need to get some flying monkeys for MK, the next Mortal Kombat game.
No.
Imagine like a fatality where just flying monkeys just come flying off the
Just
screen,
rip
just
you
rip the
apart.
fucking people
Oh my
apart.
God. I will not play it then. No, thank you. That's a no for me.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, 14-year-old didn't get the reference. Now my 14 and 10-year-old no. Mischief managed. Hey, Tad gets that one for reference now.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Subchapter 2. They told Roland a story almost every American child of the 20th century knew about a Kansas farm girl named Dorothy Gale who had been carried away.
That's where Gail was at. Sorry.
Yes.
I was thinking the actress's name was Gail, but yeah, no, it's Dorothy Gale.
Dorothy Gale
Yeah.
had been carried away by a cyclone and deposited with her dog in the land of Oz. There wasn't an I-70 in Oz, but there was a yellow brick road. There were witches, both good and bad. There was even a Ka-Tet composed of Dorothy, Toto, and 3 friends she met along the way. The Cowardly Lion, the Tin Woodman, and the Scarecrow. They each had bird, bear, hare, and fish. A fondest wish, and it was Dorothy's, that Roland's new friends, and Roland for that matter, identified with most strongly. She wanted to find her way home. Jake tells Roland that the Munchkins told her that if she followed the yellow brick road, she would end up in Oz, so she went and met others along the way. Sort of like you met us, Roland, Eddie cuts in and says. And Roland doesn't look much like Judy Garland, though. And then I just had to stop here. Eddie never changed. I missed you.
I didn't get a well, you had Q's birth though.
It's Eddie. It's like saying, Tad, we have Mr. Pibb over Dr. Pepper. Would you like a Pepsi instead of a Coke?
Except that
No.
old Q's birth is the original.
No, Eddie's the original.
Eddie's the facsimile.
No, Eddie's the OG.
No. The one thing I didn't lock onto, but the fact that it says Roland's friends as well as Roland identified with Dorothy the most because she wanted to find her way home.
Uh-huh.
Putting that on Roland is very interesting.
I
have never
I have a hypothesis about this.
I've never actually I mean, it would make sense, like even if it were just the aspect of like missing the fact that Gilead doesn't
No. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's home. I think it's the path of the beam. They've lost it since getting to Kansas. They looked up, the clouds are all skewed. They're not on the beam anymore.
I don't know.
I think that's what it is, that they want their way forward back. I think that's subtle. That's what I interpret it as.
Yeah,
Roland does not want to go home. He wants the Dark Tower.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting look at his psyche, though, where it's
It
like,
is.
again, maybe it's not just like some place to go live again, but it's like, is he potentially just kind of nostalgic for the fallen world that he used to know, right? Like he's
Could
the
be.
last of his kind. Like there's going to be,
It very well could be.
yeah, and now just having gone freshly through the story of Susanna or Susan again, like maybe there is even some aspects of him where it's like, man, I wish I could have just gone with her and given up this entire thing and just lived a life with her type thing. So
Yep.
Yeah, indeed.
But I think maybe King's giving us a little. We're missing the our home, and the home is on the way to the Dark Tower, the path of the beam.
See, look at Peter being all cynical.
I'm just saying.
Oh, Jack mentions I also enjoy Mr. Burns' flying monkeys. Indeed. Also, Mr. Burns, there's monkeys with a million monkeys with a million typewriters.
Oh, writing Shakespeare.
It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. You stupid monkey. It's one of my favorites. I don't know why. It's just so absurd. So interesting to see this story told in Dark Tower language, like Ka-Tet and whatnot. Putting them next to each other, you can definitely see where there's a lot of similarities. We already know about Lord of the Rings, but there's a lot of similarities with Oz even before this book.
I think there's a lot of similarities you can draw between The Wizard of Oz and Lord of the Rings. You have a group come together, go on a quest, defeat an enemy, go home. When you break it down into the bare bones, that's Lord of the Rings. A group of get together, defeat an enemy, go home.
Yeah.
So when King says that he wants to write his magnum opus Lord of the Rings style,
Yeah.
it makes sense then, right?
Yeah. Agamorphy does say, could be other worlds in these materials about the flying monkeys. Imagine if we get some flying monkeys in October.
No.
There we go.
Oh no.
There we go.
Oh, no.
Let's fucking go.
No, thank
man.
you.
That would be good.
That is a no for me.
Let's see
dog.
good old Jack Sawyer run into some flying monkeys.
No, thank you.
That'd be fun.
No, thank you. Going on, Jake goes on that they reached Oz and the Emerald Palace, and the guy who lived there, he looked towards the Green Palace ahead of them and back to Roland. Roland says he understands and asks if the person living in Oz was a king, a powerful din, a baron. The three of them exchanged a look from which Roland was excluded. That is complicated. He was sort of a humbug, Jake says. Roland asked what a bum hug was. Jake laughed, says, humbug. A father, all talk.
Faker.
A faker,
Yeah.
all talk, no action. But maybe the important thing is that the wizard actually, and Roland cuts him off, asking wizard sharply and grabbing Jake's shoulder. Why do you call him so? Susanna explains that was his title, the Wizard of Oz. She gently removes Roland's hands from Jake's shoulder, gently but firmly. Let him tell you he doesn't need a squeeze out of him. Roland asked if he hurt Jake and cries his pardon. That's the part I was talking about earlier where Susan's
Once
like,
again being motherly.
yeah, Susanna's like, easy on my boy. Like, you don't need to squeeze it out of him,
Yeah.
but gently, but firmly. And I can tell you right now, when a woman has a gentle but firm voice or gentle but firm actions, run,
Yeah.
run.
Yes,
that's,
indeed.
That's where you're this close from being in major trouble.
Yes.
I've been in enough trouble in my life. You have too. That you're just like,
Not me.
yeah, you have.
Never.
Okay, Eric Cartman and the cop.
Never.
Lie into a cops.
Always a halo above
Yeah,
my head.
right. Roland does seem to get easily excited at certain things, doesn't he?
Yes.
He says wizard, and all of a sudden he's like, wizard, why do you say that?
Yeah.
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name?
Did you put your name into the goblet of fire, Harry? Dumbledore asked calmly.
Oh shit. This would have been
Someone says it in the chat. Agamorphy says it in the chat. Well, home is the tower, so that's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm alluding to. Is
and Hero's Journey.
that's
definitely.
that's exactly it. Like Lord of the Rings, Wizard of Oz, Dark Tower. There's so many of them where it's just the hero's journey to go do something.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
even Star Wars to an extent has that.
But even, I mean, part of the hero's journey is going back home too.
It
so
is.
it's like
there's always like the return.
does Roland have like a mind that after the tower is going to be like a journey home?
I don't know. Did we ever get an insight into Roland's psyche about that?
No, I think the tower is always like, for everything we've seen up to this point, it's always just been the tower is kind of that's all his focus is. Like beyond that, who knows?
Agamorphy asks, why does he react that way, do you think? like the wizard and grabbing Jake and stuff like that? Do you
I
have a
mean,
suspicion?
We know that like Merlin's rainbow. We've basically been told that not Farson, but Martin is a wizard, like that and
That's-
stuff. So it's like
That's where I was going to go. Also, let's be perfectly honest, witch, wizard, they're kind of,
yeah.
you know.
Plus, Roland can look at it and go, the title of the book is Wizard in Glass. What are you talking about wizards now? I got the early
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. It's like 16 walls. Eat your heart out, Deadpool.
But yeah, I do think that in my mind that's what it'd be. Is you got Merlin. I mean, we're in the land of like Arthurian legends, so
Right.
like wizards are not uncommon. And so, like, I think that's just one of those things that, there's been a few times we've seen Roland kind of triggered by specific words. This is another one of those times, right? When it was Charlie the
Choo-choo.
Charlie the Choo-choo, that Char like triggered him because that's the word that only meant one thing in his language and stuff. So I think there's just another thing where you're now referring to something that, and let's be honest, is not too far from his mission. Like a wizard seduced his mother. Like that was the beginning of all of this. Like that was the beginning of him taking his trial and everything. So it's like, wizards, I think, figure pretty largely into this story.
And like I said as well, witch, wizard, they're kind of synonyms, just kind of like for different genders kind of thing.
Yeah.
You see that
Where do
a lot.
warlocks fit in, though? That's
warlock's another word for wizard. They're in different fantasy. I think that they do different things.
because I was always taught that warlock is a male witch. Like as a kid, that was what I was always.
I think warlocks more tend to be like this is Peter's thing.
Peter Cannon.
This is Peter Cannon in my brain. Warlocks tend to be more like I'm a fire warlock. I'm a necromancer warlock. I'm a water warlock. Kind of. They have like a special branch of it. Wizard is Doctor Strange, Merlin, Merlin, that kind of thing. They have Harry Potter's a wizard.
And
they do all the different kinds of magics. I always thought of warlocks as kind of like one branch of magic.
And here's how I always viewed it: was wizards were good, and then
bad.
warlock was just a male witch, and witches are always bad.
Oh, okay.
So now I know that Wizard of Oz has that, but it's like that's nonsense. There's no such thing as good witches.
They are always trying to eat children. We know
yes,
this.
indeed.
Get in my oven.
Indeed, they're detestable creatures, and I always saw warlock. So that's how I always viewed it as a kid, because that's how I saw. And I always just assumed wizards. I think this is one of the first things I ever encountered where we really had bad wizards, right? Like
Jack says he's got to go and thanks us, and always a pleasure to catch you guys live and joining in the chat. Thanks, Jack, for coming.
Thanks, Jack. But yeah, that's how I think Dark Tower may have been one of the first things I ever encountered that had wizards that were bad. So for me, wizards were always like that noble Merlin that was, Arthur's right-hand man type, like that's just this like, and I didn't know Lord of the Rings as a kid, but like Gandalf, like that.
A wizard.
That's wizard. Like that's what a wizard would be. And then warlock would have been literally just like take a witch and make it male. That's a war. That's how I would have
doing evil, dastardly things, cursing people, hexing people, stuff like that.
Yeah, taking advantage of people and
Right.
stuff. Yeah. So then let's see my note here. Yeah, and we've had our glass and now our first reference to a wizard. I remember this being around this time that I thought there would be a wizard. Maybe this is how Susanna would get her legs back, because I was still not accepting the fact that, because there's just part of me that's like, this is not a sidewalk, and what is the like the
handicap accessible world.
Yeah, what was the act, like the whatever act that like requires like handicap parking? You've got to have like cuts in the curb.
Isn't it just the Disabled Act?
Disability Act, yes, probably Disability Act of whatever 19 whatever it was. Later,
and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990.
Yeah, so like it just
Jesus Christ, we took till 1990 to get that figured out.
Yeah, I mean,
God, we're kind of stupid sometimes as a species.
That it was law, but I think, even Eddie was talking about it in his time, and that's when the book was pretty modern day, that there were like ramps and stuff, and there were like handicap. So I think the society was already starting to do it, but by the time it was like required by law was later, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I remember that being, because I just remember thinking like we're in a kind of a tough and rug type world here, and I just don't see how a lady in a wheelchair is going to be able to like be a thing here. I feel like that's going to be a very big hindrance. So I remember that being an exciting moment the first time reading it.
Jake says he is fine. He goes on to tell more about the Wizard of Oz and how they had adventures before meeting the wizard.
Agamorphy got it as well. America's Disability Act. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And meeting the wizard and finding out he was a bum hug. Jake cracks up at this again. He brushes his hair back and goes on telling how the wizard wouldn't give the lion courage, or the scarecrow a brain, or the tin woodman a heart. Worst of all, he couldn't send Dorothy home. He had a balloon and went without her. Jake doesn't think he meant to, but he did. Roland says that he thinks they had those things they wanted all along. Eddie says that is the moral of the story. Glinda, the good witch, shows up and for killing 2 witches, one smushed under her house and melting the other one. Dorothy shows Dorothy how to use the ruby slippers, the one Glinda gave her. Eddie raises the red Cuban-heeled street boppers, which had been left for him. Glinda told Dorothy to click her heels of the ruby slippers 3 times, and he would take her home, and they did. Roland asks if that was the end of the tale. Jake says the story was so popular the guy wrote about 1,000 more Oz stories. Eddie interrupts and says everything but Glinda's Guide to Firm Thighs. Jake goes on saying that they made a crazy remake called The Wiz starring black people, to which Susanna interrupts saying, really? What a peculiar concept. Jake finishes saying that the only one that matters is the first one. And then my note here, first time reading this is when I learned that Wizard of Oz was a book and there are sequels. I never explored them and haven't ever read the original one, but that's the first time I was like I didn't read the Wizard of Oz in school or anything like that.
Until this book, I didn't know it was a book.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a movie from 1939.
And then I didn't know that there's like a universe, there's like books about it and everything. So reading Dark Tower is when I actually learned that the movie wasn't just a movie that was based off a book. So I'm with you there. Yeah.
And indeed, I knew about The Wiz, and I think maybe some shitty sequels have been made. But like Jake said, it's only the original that matters. I think somebody earlier in the chat actually mentioned having their kids watch the sequel. Let's see. Before let's see. No, that's where was it at? I mean, my kids watched the second Wizard of Oz. Yeah, still creepy. Yeah, so I knew there was another because just selling movies and working at video stores and stuff. There's been a few times, and The Wiz, I remember that one too. So.
Yeah. David asks, so are the slippers made of ruby, or are they just regular slippers that are the color of rubies? I mean, are you talking canon, like in world, like the Wizard of Oz, or just like?
Oh yeah,
real?
I assume they'd be ruby. But...
I thought they were real rubies. That was the whole thing. Is they're ruby slippers?
Yeah, but who knows?
I mean, they're obviously not real rubies. There's no way you take real rubies and go clink, 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 clink together. The person owning the stones would be like, ha!
I mean, maybe, because if it's them going against each other, though, probably wouldn't break, so the same hardness, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless one is imperfect, then it shatters, right? Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyways, going on. Roland hunkered and put his hands into the boots that were left for him, picking them up and putting them back down. Are we supposed to put them on, do you think? Here and now? From the 3 from New York looked at each other doubtfully. At last, Susanna spoke for them, fed him the kef for which he could fill but not quite share on his own. Best not to right now, maybe, she said. Too many badass spirits here. Takuro's spirits, Eddie mumbled, mostly to himself, then to everyone. Look, let's just take them along. If we're supposed to put them on, I think we'll know when the time comes. In the meantime, I think we ought to beware of bum hugs bearing gifts. It cracked Jake up as Eddie knew it would. Sometimes the word got into your funny bone like a virus and just lived there for a while. Tomorrow, the word bum hug might mean nothing to the kid, but for the rest of today, however, he was going to laugh every time he heard it. Eddie intended to use it a lot, especially when Jake wasn't expecting it. They picked up the shoes. Jake took Oz and moved on again toward the shimmering glass castle. Oz, Roland thought. He searched his memory and couldn't think of a name he had heard before or a word in the high speech that had come in disguise like Char had come in Charlie. Yet it sounded like it belonged in this business. A sound from Eddie's, Jake's, and Susanna's world where the story came from. And that's the end of the subchapter 2. I love Eddie's plan to abuse bum hug just to make Jake laugh. That's just, I've done that with my wife. There's sometimes where just something is tickling her fancy and I'll just abuse it.
Yeah.
Just like, yep, okay, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
And then I'm a little surprised there is no connection to Oz and Roland's world. Everything else seems to find a way to fit in some way, shape, or form. It just seems like there's so many coincidences to have Oz mean nothing. It's just kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have the Bible and the Beatles, but no Oz.
Charlie, all this stuff.
Yeah. But even beyond the story, the fact that the world does not carry over in the word doesn't carry over in some way like char. This is entirely of our world, which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Because I'm trying to think of what other things that we've had reference to that's in this world that carries over. I remember the Beatles in the Bible.
I mean, you got gasoline and
like brands and stuff
like that.
Yeah, for sure. So there's definitely plenty of carryover. So let's see. And Agamorphy says color of they were silver in the book, but somebody in the movie crew made them colorful because they were nice looking for the Technicolor, which actually makes a lot of sense because that was obviously a huge deal. I mean, they have and David does say they have a road made of solid gold. And then Cody says if you haven't checked the second one out, it's worth it. Who doesn't like shock therapy on kids?
Jeez.
I mean, I agree, but I usually go with horror movies for that type thing. So
it's kind of interesting that all these properties that are like coming up and now able to be like made into horror movies.
Yeah.
I wonder when the Wizard of Oz is going to hit that so that we can have some flying monkey horror movies.
Question would be is there flying monkeys in the book? Because the book might already be public domain at this point. So, or is that a film invention? That's the problem.
Hey, anyone who's read the book in the chat, let us know.
Yeah, because we need more monkey horror in our lives.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
You do.
Yes,
I don't.
We do. Just like
David says, I think they had monkeys in the book.
All right, just like the one movie. I forget what it's called now. The monkey Cujo.
Primate.
Yeah, I was thinking it was called Chimp. I'm like, I don't know why, but
movie. I mean, chimp, primate.
Yeah, it's
one word. It's the the kind of thing. One movie I will never see.
You will, sir.
No, sir, I will
you
not.
will.
I will not.
You will, sir.
You don't have enough money to pay me to see that.
Oh,
movie.
you will, sir.
No.
You will.
You missed your chance. It's out of theaters and everything.
Oh no,
it's
number one on streaming right now.
I have no reason to ever watch it.
Oh, you will, sir.
Nope.
There will be a hangout one of these days.
I will leave.
You will get bamboozled in with pizza.
I will leave.
Your phone will get taken away, and
leave.
you will have no way to escape.
I will walk. I'm not staying and watching that movie, Tad.
Oh, you shall.
No means no, Tad.
You shall.
No.
You shall indeed.
I don't think so, fucker.
It'll be good stuff. Just like Beast.
Oh, God. I learned my lesson with that one. No means no.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, and then David said they think they had monkeys in the book. I read the plot of Primate on Wikipedia, and it was pretty much Cujo. Yeah, and it's a wonderful movie. It was very well done.
Nope.
All right, so subchapter 3. So Jake expected the Green Palace to begin looking normal as they drew closer to it, but it didn't happen. As they got closer, Jake realized it was one of the most beautiful and radiant things he'd ever seen in his life. He didn't trust it, but it didn't change its beauty. It was like drawing. It was like a drawing in a fairy tale book that was so good it became real. Like the thinny it hummed, except it was fainter and not unpleasant. Pale green walls rose to the battlements that jutted and towers that soared, seemed to nearly touch the clouds with their needles of dark emerald green emerald green atop them. The pennants flying off them, and they all had symbols of an open eye traced in yellow. Jake thought it was the mark of the Crimson King, not John Farson's after all. He knew it, but he did not know how he knew it. So, what do we got? Any more monkey talk in the in the chat here? Let's see. The depiction of monkeys is the issue, like how monkeys had to use cymbals, not drums, because Disney owned the depiction. Yeah, no, that's kind of annoying. Although I think the drums ended up actually being way more effective for the movie The Monkey.
Yeah,
I think the drum was it was
really good.
It worked out really well. I was really pissed about it. Like as we got closer to the movie, that became like known. But like after seeing the movie, though, I think that the drum actually worked.
Yeah, I think
well.
Osgood Perkins made it work for him.
Yeah.
David says I like horror novels, but not horror movies.
Yeah, and I love all horror. Just took it all straight to my veins. Just all of it. Books. Now, video games.
Just took it to my veins!
Video games, on the other hand, those actually get me still.
Yeah, because you're like interacting and stuff like that.
Because like now I'm not just on a roller coaster. I'm just going to be taken for the ride. Now I've got to actually engage with it. So it's different.
You have to open the door.
Yes, indeed. So I know what Jake was expecting. Sometimes certain things look fantastical from afar, but as you get closer, you see through their veneer.
Yeah,
I've seen like people talk about that with Disney land, world, whatever you want to call it. I've also personally, like, I think Vegas is that way.
I was
like,
going to say that's the one I can think of for me that I've seen is like pulling up to Vegas. I remember we just went a few years ago, and I was like, "Holy shit, look at that!" And then we got there, and I'm like, this looks like where we're from. Like, this is just another fucking town. This isn't
Yeah.
that special. I mean, yeah, there's the stratosphere over there, but
Yeah, and the giant ball.
that was under construction when we were there, wasn't it?
No, it was on.
Was it on? Okay.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for them to do a Death Star. I don't know. I know it's probably a licensing thing, but they need to do that. They need to make a Death Star on that damn thing.
Oh yeah.
So we're all wait-
Maybe they have on May 4th.
No, I would have seen it on some Star Wars stuff. But the other thing is it's also Vegas, so I'm also expecting at some point they'll put a titty on there. Just seems like something Vegas would do.
There was someone climbing it the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's not the first person either. And my next note, so the Eye of the Crimson King. So Farson was working for the Crimson King, either knowingly or unknowingly, because we've already learned that symbol was the sign of Farson and his armies and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting thing now to find out that Farson was either, again, he may not have even known it, but the fact that he was working for the Crimson King.
I just all assume the bad guys all work for the Crimson King. That's just my assumption. It's like you with Flag. Dark a hooded man. It's Flag until I'm told otherwise.
He's a good man, that Flag. Also, the animation of the book is not quite the Eye of the Crimson King that we see later. This is far more rudimentary. Yeah. Just far more of a simple animation
like someone
of an eye.
drew it.
Yeah. And it just seems like basic. Like, it doesn't seem as stylized as like the Crimson King that I got on my shirt, the Eye of the Crimson King, that is far more like prevalent throughout the rest of the series and stuff. So, let's see. Susanna said it was beautiful, and Jake looked at her, and she seemed near tears. She said, but not nice somehow. Not as overtly bad as the thinny, but not good either. Eddie agreed. Not a red light exactly, but a bright yellow one at least. He rubbed the sides of his face and gestured, or a gesture he had unknowingly picked up from Roland, and that's an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if Eddie were pointed out to Eddie, I feel like he would not like it. To discover he had picked that up from Roland.
I don't know if he would care.
I think he'd dislike it.
Why?
I think there's an antagonistic element to him and Roland. It's like a younger brother thing, and I just think that and the fact, especially, I think he'd also hate the fact that it was unconscious, that he unconsciously did it. But then on top of it, I think he likes to he's very altruistic, and I feel like there's a big part of him that he's just like, I'm never going to be like Roland. There's something about me that's way better than him, because he's just so obsessed, whatever it is, and he's so easy to let people go for his journey. And he's called him out on that multiple times. So I just think all of that would culminate for him, and if somebody had pointed out, I think he may not. I'm not saying he'd be over the fucking moon crazy, but I do think he'd be unhappy about it.
I don't know. He has a big brother that he idolized and probably just copied all the time. Then I think it would just be oh, Roland's the new Henry. He may not like that thought.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. The holistic view of everything, I just don't think he would like it.
Yeah.
And again, the unconscious part of it too, because I think we've all seen that where it's unconsciously you pick something up from someone.
It's always bad. It's always bad too when someone else, if Eddie realized it himself, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But if Jake's the one that points it out to him, he'd be like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because then it sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
Because then you're
caught with your defenses down.
Yeah, exactly.
If you realize it yourself, you can, I can rationalize it this way, or you can build up your defenses a little bit to it. Then if someone points it out, then you're like, oh, well, yeah, I do it for this reason,
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. He said it almost felt like a practical joke. Roland said he doubted it was a joke and asked if it was a copy of the place where the Dorothy and her Ka-Tet met the false wizard. The New Yorker shared a glance of consultation, and Eddie spoke for them and said, yeah. It's not the same from the movie, but if this came out of their minds, it wouldn't have been, because they all read the book and had seen the illustrations as well. And Jake added also they all had their imaginations as well. Also, I like to just point out for a second, I love it how in Stephen King books everyone's read everything too.
Yeah,
not like a critique, because King's a reader, so all of his characters are going to be readers, but it's just I just don't see Eddie being one that probably had a lot of time to read in his life. So, not to mention a book from potentially close to 100 years before he was born.
Don't you think Henry would have made fun of him for reading?
Yeah.
Look at the little sissy reading books.
Yeah.
What are you reading, Nancy Drew?
Yeah, 100%. So, and again, it's not a critique. It's more just I get it. King's would be a guy deeply ingrained in
That's
reading.
why there's so
like,
many writers in his stories.
Yeah,
you
100%.
know?
Yeah. So Susanna said it was though, and they were likely off to see the wizard. Eddie made reference to the because, and the other two finished the line because of the wonderful things he does, and they all laughed. But Roland frowned at them, feeling puzzled and left out. Eddie said it would only take one more wonderful thing to send him over the dark side of the psycho moon, like most likely for good. So that's the end of the subchapter. So it's quite beautiful, but also has a sinister undertone to it that they all seem to sense. So that's kind of interesting because I think Roland's pretty much been put off by this since he was the only one seeing it. When it was way, way off in the distance, the very beginning of the book, like he's not been very kind to this. So now they're all getting close to it. Kind of makes you wonder what sixth senses Roland have to know, from the very beginning, from the very first glimpse he saw on the fucking when it was a freaking micro dot on the horizon, he was able to like see it and just I don't like this.
I just realized something. Do you think there's also a little bit of nervousness for Roland's part because this is something from their world?
So he may not be able to grasp what's going on.
I mean, he already is like left out of the loop. Look at this last little section of the subchapter here.
Yeah,
and this isn't the first time it's happened in this episode where he's just like, well, explain what's going on. What do you mean? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit off his guard of like not off his guard, but he's like he can't anticipate what's going to happen because he doesn't fucking know what's going on.
Yeah, he'd be as uncomfortable as the rest of them would be without him, and that because it's something that's not of his world, so he's not gonna
like them going into Lud. They wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah,
without Roland. Roland told them what to do and everything.
Yeah.
Look for the cradle. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the a baby cradle? Like, what's going on here? Like that kind of thing. That's where Roland's at here, and it's honestly when you think about it, that's kind of bad for them. Like, if Roland's not your ace in the hole, then who is?
Yeah. Indeed. Very, very, very terrifying thought.
Yeah.
And then funny, I honestly may have, again, I learned that Wizard of Oz was a book from this. I always thought it was just a movie. I think reading this part is what clued me into the fact that it was a book before, right? And you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, though. Yeah. Dark Tower is definitely the thing that taught me that Wizard of Oz was a book.
Right.
Because, it just never was any of my reading things in any different part of school or whatever. So
I'm finding that my schooling did not have me read nearly as many books as like other people did.
But we read like all the classic stuff, like the stuff that like most kids. I just don't think Wizard of Oz is generally part of like
not just Wizard of Oz. There's other things that people have read that I'm just like I never read that. They're like that's required reading, and I'm like I did all of it. I graduated, with a pretty good GPA in high school, and I never was told to read this book. And they're like, what? Everyone's read. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like I talked to people who we did the play Scarlet Pimpernel.
Yeah.
I've talked to people that are like, yeah, that was required reading for us. And I'm like, I only know that story because we did the play.
Yeah.
I never read that.
Yeah.
There's other things that people say that they've read. I know someone who was like shocked that I didn't read The Road until I was an adult. They're like, oh, that was required reading for us. And I was like,
no.
What?
No, it's not.
I'm like, what? Like,
no.
All right.
No, I don't think. Until 2007 when the No Country for Old Men movie came out, I don't think I'd ever heard the name Cormac McCarthy before.
Yeah.
So no, and that would not be part of like reading curriculum for school and stuff. Not at all.
I mean,
I'm talking.
That's one. Lord of the Flies. Never read Lord of the Flies. Everyone else has read Lord of the Flies. I've never read Lord of the Flies. I was never required to. Were you?
I've read it. I think that was one that because I haven't read it as an adult. So I would have read it in school.
I don't have a
maybe you went to a more Mormon-y school and they're just like, we got to be careful with some of these hard edge books here.
Maybe also it wouldn't surprise me if my mom's like, don't have him read this shit. Because my mom is so very Mormon.
Yeah, no, it's true. And there is like that Mormon skew that's to our entire state. So.
Agamorphy, it's true. Kids aren't required to be reading books anymore, but you have to remember, you did say it. We are old. So we were in the generation where we were required to read books.
Yeah, like we read...
I read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird.
I remember reading To Kill a Mockingbird.
Tom Sawyer.
Never read it.
Yeah, I've read that one. There's a number of the classics. Watership Down, read Watership Down. Also saw the fucking terrifying cartoon as a child too. So
yeah, Agamorphy says he didn't read Lord of the Flies until his son was required to.
Interesting.
Like, I'm just wondering, what books does everyone read in school? I'm just gonna do a quick Google search just to see. To Kill a Mockingbird.
What about
Great Gatsby, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet was a huge one for sure.
Lord of the Flies,
what
Animal
about-
Farm of Mice and Men, and The Catcher in the Rye.
What about the Crucible? I read the Crucible.
Nope.
Also the Scarlet Letter. Read that one.
Nope.
Read the Lottery.
Okay, I'm really starting to
So-
think that something got missed in my schooling, because what the actual fuck, dude?
Yeah, indeed.
1984, that's another one I've heard a lot of people say that they've read.
That wasn't school. That was my own that I read that one. The other one is I also spent an entire semester in 7th grade English. All I did is went to the back of the textbook and read The Raven over and over. I literally spent the entire semester rereading The Raven over and over. So that was
Someone said Mockingbird, Scarlet Letter, Gatsby,
Catcher in the Rye.
Yep,
Yeah.
Catcher in the Rye, Flowers for Algernon. That one sounds familiar. I don't remember it, but that one sounds familiar.
Yeah. No, that, yeah.
'Cause I always, that name Algernon, that's
I
ingrained in my brain.
I read Moby Dick as an adult. Mostly because, I mean, I wanted to read it, but then Frank
Yeah.
Muller narrated the audiobook. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm definitely going
well,
to,
there we go.
definitely got a little bit tedious at times.
Yeah, I bet.
There
Okay.
was, yeah.
Sorry for that tangent. Subchapter 4. As they drew closer, they could see Interstate 70 stretching away into the pale green depths of the castle's slightly rounded outer wall. It floated like an optical illusion. Closer still, and they could hear the pennants snapping in the breeze. They could see their reflection like drowned folk who somehow walk at the bottoms of watery tropical graves. There was an inner readout of dark blue glass, the color Jake associated with the bottle of fountain pen ink came in, and a rust-hued wall walk between the readout and the outer wall. The color made Susanna think of bottles of Heyer's root beer had come in when she was a little girl.
Yeah, so must be some big pennants since they were able to make out the sigil on them a little bit further away here.
Yeah.
Because we talked about multiple minutes and minutes and minutes of walking, and they're still like getting close to approaching. So it's like those must be some pretty big banners.
Yeah.
So
And then you hear them snapping from that far. You know, they're all the way up there, so.
yeah. Of course, Jake would know fountain pen ink, not of his time, but it would likely be stuff he's exposed to with his upbringing.
For sure.
Like just that.
I wouldn't just put it past his dad to have a fountain pen there, dip it, and then sign stuff.
Yeah.
He seems that kind of pretentious little.
Yeah, 100. And like Piper School, I feel like that's
in the 70s. You didn't.
No.
There were
even
were
Susanna.
bits.
That's before her time. Even
Yeah.
like people didn't write with that shit in the
Yeah, no shit.
20th century for those part. But again, Jake, with the kind of realm he runs in, like with the Piper School and shit, like he would have been
Absolutely.
he would have been exposed to that shit. So.
Absolutely. And then my note here: root beer, so yummy.
Disgusting, reprehensible. It's almost as bad as Mountain Dew.
Would you $1 billion drink one Mountain Dew or drink one?
I'm
root
gonna
beer?
yak. There's no way to hold it down. It's disgusting shit.
Okay,
Not,
I'll watch Primate if you
not-
drink a root beer.
not,
and
not,
throw
not even
up.
ice cream can help root beer.
I'll watch Primate when you drink
No,
a
you're
root beer and not
watching
throw
it.
up.
You're
I
wa-
am not watching it. No, Tad.
You're watching it.
Nope.
You're watching it. 23 years or whatever it is. I could tell you, sir.
Nope. I love seeing the two different colors and what they remind Jake and Susanna of, just like respectively between the two, like the root beer bottle and then like the fountain pen ink bottle. It's just like fascinating to see. Like this is what Jake, this is what Susanna, and everything.
Yeah.
Going on, the way in was blocked by a barrel gate that was both huge and ethereal. It looked like wrought iron which had been turned into glass. Each cunningly made stake was a different color, and these colors seemed to come from inside as if the bars were filled with some bright liquid or gas. The travelers stopped before it. There was no sign of a turnpike beyond the gate. Instead, there was a courtyard of silver glass, a huge flat mirror, in fact. Clouds floated serenely through its depths. So did the image of the occasional swooping bird. Sun reflected off the glass courtyard and ran across the castle walls in a ripple. On the far side of the wall of the palace's inner ward rose in a glimmery green cliff broken by narrow loophole windows of jet black glass. There was also an arched entry in this wall that made Jake think of St. Patrick's Cathedral. To the left side of the main doorway was a sentry box made of cream-colored glass shot through with hazy orange threads. The door, painted with red stripes, stood open. The phone booth-sized room inside was empty. On the floor was something that looked like a newspaper to Jake. Above the entry, flanked its darkness were two crouching, leering gargoyles of the darkest violet glass. Their pointed tongues looked out like bruises, their pennants atop the towers flapping like schoolyard flags. Crows cawed over the empty cornfields, now a week past the reap. Distantly, the thinny whined and warbled.
Yeah, so Interstate just ends here, so it's not like Oz where this crashed down for another world, because in our because if it were our world of the Stand, like that would just it would just go on forever, and you just have like a, I don't know. So it just shows that we got something really weird going on here, because it obviously doesn't feel like from our world, like obviously.
Yeah, because it's not sitting on top the freeway, the turnpike. It's like deleted it. It's like gone. So it's like, wait, where'd it go?
Yeah, indeed.
And I have to say, what a picture here! This description here with all this color, all this vibrancy. You hear about the courtyard is reflective. It's a mirror and everything like that. It's just like, I feel like my next note. I feel like this is one of those places I think would hurt to look at for too long.
Yeah, I also wonder if this would have one of those death lasers where like the sunlight reflects off the reflective things and fries people. I hope so. Those are fun. Have you seen those where they like set cars on fire and shit? Like here in our real world, like they build these buildings with these reflective finishes, and like
they have to go back and like put like a tint over them.
Yeah.
To stop it from being so reflective that it sets shit on fire.
Yeah. And good old crows. Nothing's afoot when such a lovable bird is about.
Yeah, nothing. Bobby Terry, you screwed up. I love that line. Going on.
I think watching The Stand is coming up for me. It's been a while. They just put out like the Blu-ray that's like remastered and shit. And I haven't watched it yet. And I've been thinking about
the newer one, right?
The random thoughts just keep hitting me. And there is a scene of that too, because they like actually put like some feathers on his like jacket,
kind of like falling off.
Where he's like he like mid transformation, and it's just like. Yeah. That's why I think it sticks in my head more so than even the book is like not Taylor Sheridan that plays Flag. Taylor Sheridan's the director, I think, right? Or is he Taylor Sheridan? Let's see. Randall Flag actor.
Jamie Sheridan.
Jamie Sheridan, yeah. So Jamie Sheridan's performance in that line, I think, is what stuck in my head for all these years. So
the audiobook is what always gets me, is the person reading the audiobook. Bobby Terry, you screwed up. That on the screwed, that when he drops his voice and like kind of not rolls it, but kind of. That is ingrained in my brain. Every time I get there, I'm just like, it's like scratches that itch, and I'm just like, yes.
Yeah,
there's certain lines with audiobooks for me that when I get there and I hit them, I'm just like, little boost of serotonin just gets released in my brain.
Yeah, I also got to point out to you in the amazing Showtime show Homeland, where you have like the Manchurian Candidate thing going on.
Yeah.
Jamie Sheridan plays the vice president.
Of course he
does.
So
Flag playing the vice president.
Of course he does.
That's a very happy thing.
No.
It's a very happy thing.
No.
Because in my mind, of course, he
plays
Flag.
the dad of someone in like a shipwreck show or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember. And I think it's something that you've seen too, because like the guy survives, but his dad doesn't, and it's like,
oh yeah, isn't he? It's the Arrow. It's Green Arrow.
Oh, it's Arrow. Yeah. In the Arrowverse, that's what it was. Yeah.
Make a button for that. Agamorphy says,
"You screwed up." I love that from the audiobook. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
like,
of course I do. Of course I do. See, the question is am I going to be able to squeeze a watch in here before the read comes up? Because it is approaching.
Ooh.
So.
I don't know what you're watching. We'll find out here in a little bit on Geekery Abides. So maybe.
Yeah.
All right, going on. Susanna told them to look at the bars of the gate. Look very closely, she said. She sounded breathless and awestruck. Jake bent forward toward the yellow bar until his nose almost touched it. A faint yellow stripe ran down the middle of his face. At first he saw nothing, then he gasped. What do you take it for motes of some kind or creatures? Living creatures imprisoned inside the bar, swimming in tiny schools. They look like fish in aquariums, but they look kind of human. It's the head, Jake told himself. A tiny woman with a fishtail and long blonde hair streaming out behind her swam to the side of the glass and seemed to peer out at the giant boy. Her eyes round, startled, and beautiful, and then flipped away again. Jake felt suddenly dizzy and weak. He closed his eyes until the feeling of vertigo went away. He opened his eyes and looked at the other bars. Cripes, he said. Are they all the same? Different, I think, Eddie said, who had already peered into several. He bent close to the purple rod. These guys look like birds, tiny birds. Jake looked and saw Eddie was right. Tiny little flocks of birds swooping in and around each other, leaving tiny silver trails of bubbles. To this day, this is still one of the trippiest things I've ever read, and to imagine what it would look like. The whole palace is nuts, but to picture tiny creatures living inside these colored bars is just the craziest thing.
So you know what I think Flanagan needs to do here
Yeah.
is everything else the show needs to be normal, but he needs to actually go and like shoot this in black and white and then get Technicolor. So it actually looks like something from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, like where there's just something about those colors that are just so like just different than what we're used to.
What if they film in black and white when they get off of Blaine? From the moment they detrain with Blaine to here, it's all in black and white. Like we're not going to get the flashback and everything like that, right? So it's just black and white until you get to the palace, and then it's just bam, like Wizard of Oz, nothing but color.
It would be a good like thing in there. That would be a ballsy
an episode or two in black and white.
That would be ballsy though.
Yeah,
but I want this to be like Technicolor though, because that's just such a different look.
It is.
There's just something like it's almost way brighter and more like vibrant, and like I almost think they should do that because like this is so trippy and it'd be trippy anyway. But how much trippier it'd be if you did that, where suddenly just for this short stretch, it looks like a movie that's like 50, 60 years old.
Yeah,
like that'd be weird, but in a wonderful way.
It would look if Roland was watching Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yes, indeed, very trippy. And since they're familiar with the books of Oz, this is not even from that.
No.
The fact that they're shocked by it tells me that's not from the books.
Jake asked Roland if they really were they really there, or are they imagining them? Roland says he doesn't know, but knows that they have been made to look like. Eddie says, so does he. He surveyed the shining post. So what Roland's saying there, he knows what they've been made to look like, the bars themselves, not inside the bars. Each with its own column of imprisoned light and life. Each of the gate's wings consisted of 6 colored bars. The one in the center, broad and flat instead of round, was made to split the gate in two when opened, was the 13th. This one was dead black, and inside this one, nothing moved. Jake thought to himself, and nothing that moved that you can see. There are things moving around in there. There is life in there, terrible life, and roses too, drowned ones. Eddie says it's a wizard's gate. Each bar has been made to look like one of the balls from Marilyn's rainbow. Look, here's the pink one. Jake leaned in and knew what he would see before he saw them. Horses, of courses. Tiny herds of them galloping through the strange pink stuff that was neither liquid nor light. Horses running in search of a drop they would never find, mayhap. Eddie stretched out his hand and grasped the sides of the central post, the black one. Don't, Susanna cried sharply. Eddie ignored her, but Jake saw his chest stop for a moment, and his lips tightened as he wrapped his hand around the black bar. He waited for something, some force, perhaps from the dark tower itself, to change him, or even strike him dead. Nothing happened, and Eddie breathed a sigh of relief and risked a smile. No electricity, but he pulled and the gate held fast. No give either. I see where it splits down the middle, but I get nothing. Want to take a shot, Roland? Roland reached for the gate, and Jake grabbed his arm, stopping him. Don't bother, he said. It's not the way. Then what is? Instead of answering, Jake sat down in front of the gate and began to put on the shoes left for him. Eddie watched for a moment and then sat down beside him. I guess we ought to try it, even though it was still probably turned out to be another bum hug. Jake laughed, shook his head, and began to tighten the laces of his blood-red Oxfords. They both knew this was no bum hug. Not this time. And that's the end of the subchapter and the last one for our episode today.
Yes, indeed.
So my last couple notes. A rainbow gate like this would be beautiful, but not with living creatures inside the bars, though.
I don't know. Could be fun.
No.
I'm also surprised Eddie didn't pull a Dr. Grant and pretend to get electrocuted.
Oh.
Just seems like something Eddie would do.
He had it in the back of his mind. I guarantee that he thought about that. He's like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It just seems like something
Poor taste. Poor taste.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, it's Jake that knows what to do. The kid is just so smart. Like, of course it's him, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, good stuff. We do have a few minutes, so let's jump on over to the spoiler section. Let me get my slide change ready here. All right.
Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead.
And Agamorphy alludes to reminding him something from It. It says no spoilers. So.
Mm-hmm.
Good old It. It's fun stuff.
I'm jonesing for a reread. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, in the spoiler section, in book 3, we get a sense that Roland is not really part of the Ka-Tet in any real way, and he would always be kind of outside of it because the rest of them are kind of from the same world. But this feels largely abandoned the rest of the way. Even here, we can kind of sense a lot that he's sharing the Kef with them. He just doesn't really like understand the references because that's not of his world. And then as we go through the rest of the series, like I don't really feel like there's much of a Roland's an outsider to this Ka-Tet. Like I feel like King kind of abandoned that, in book 3. Like
I think it gets resolved at the end of this book. Since we're talking spoilers,
but even here, just the fact they're showing this just kind of shows me the sense of like I feel like because like he did like that whole setup in 3. Because I remember when we were doing the book club, I'm just like in my head, I don't think we were doing spoiler section, so I was just like, this is weird because like the rest of the story, like he's part of the Ka-Tet. Of course, he's different than the rest of them.
I think he is separated, and what you're talking about, where King abandons it, I don't think it's abandoned. I think it's resolved. I don't think he's a full member of the Ka-Tet and fully like one of them until he tells what happens to his mother. I think when that happens, that heals the wound, and that they don't run from him and flee from him like he's expecting them to. Because even now, after he's told everything that's happened with Susan, again, it still feels like, well, it wasn't really Roland's fault. Like he was tricked by the ball and everything like that. But what happens to his mother is directly his fault. He pulled the trigger, and I think that he's still worried that they're going to run from him. And so when they don't, I think that's what heals that, and that's what it brings the Ka-Tet.
Yeah, but
it locks them together.
In book 3, it really ties like the idea of him being from the different world is why he would never be part of their Ka-Tet.
Right.
And it's just like so it's not like I'm holding myself away. It's more of just like there's going to be no possible way for me to be part of this.
Right.
They're their own, and I feel like King kind of just abandoned that idea almost after that point, right?
It could be that.
Now, the distance, yes, I get what you're saying, and I think there's like a distance that he always has between him and them until we get into this latter part of the series.
Right.
But just the way that is all set up in that third book, where it's just like, because I'm from a different world, like I'm just never going to be. There's always going to be more with them connected, and I'm always going to be kind of an outsider.
Right.
And it's just like I think King kind of abandoned that part of it, where it's just like.
But we see it here through this book, and then in book 5. You have to remember that all through the Wolves of the Collar, the Ka-Tet just feels fractured.
Oh yeah,
and they don't feel like a whole Ka-Tet again until book 7 when they come back together.
Though. Yeah, that's self-made though. It's all the lies and the deception that everyone's pulling that does that. So it's like.
So I think I think the closest that we ever get the Ka-Tet togetherness is right here at the end of book 4, after the whole I just almost say Gabriella confession, and then I think in book 7 when they reunite. Before Agosiento, I think those are the two moments that the Ka-Tet is its purest and strongest form. I don't think that otherwise I don't think that they could stand against the Wolves, and I don't think that they could have defeated the Breakers guards.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of like interesting to see, like King, how he has this separation between the Ka-Tet the whole time, but when it mattered most, they came together at those exact moments.
Yeah. Now, where I'm really surprised that these guys didn't turn on him is when he killed Ermont. That's when they should have just been like, "Fuck you, dude! You're out. You killed that beloved."
No, they
creature.
didn't, because they know that Ermont was evil.
No,
absolutely.
No, Rhea would say different. She would moan it, but she would say different.
Oh my god, I'm done with you.
Disgusting.
I'm done with you.
I feel like that button's on the very top for you. Like you probably have that very close at hand at all times.
You set my order. I don't get to choose.
All right. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Let's go ahead. And so we will. I also just did look ahead just to make sure we have 41 total book clubs for this. So we are in the final stretch here.
Yeah.
So, and then, let me go ahead and hit the outro stuff on my side. If you want to subscribe, you can do that on any podcasting service of your choice. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Of course, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, or Ermont will drop out of the ceiling and, give Peter a hug. Peter would be like, why is he wet? And then you can find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And if you want to contact us, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. Threads and Instagram is Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then our Blue Sky account is at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then our Twitter is at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver is where you get your official #TAT is terrible merchandise. They even have fanny packs on there. I want to buy
Slander.
I want to buy a fanny pack.
I don't know how fanny packs have come back. Like they were like, you made fun of kids that had those in the 90s.
They're useful.
No,
You can store
I
things
don't
in there.
fucking care. They
Yeah.
no undesirable.
Absolutely.
No, this absolutely not.
You get like the
Abs-
you get like the crossbody ones where you can have it like right
Plus,
here.
we already lost Jack, so he can't tell us the reason that fanny pack is a very, very offensive name too.
No, we're not in the UK though, so it's okay.
Yeah. But no slander. All right. And we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining us. You guys are awesome. Always make it a joy to record and do this live, even filling in some gaps where we are blanking on shit. So,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love the live chat is I don't have to Google everything.
yeah, indeed. All right, we will see you guys in a fortnight for the next roundtable, and then a month from now we will be back for another our continuation in towards the Wizard and Glass finale as it's coming up on us here. So,
Like the
All right.
video.
all right, see you guys.
Bye, everyone.